WTN.
Are you ready? It's time for the final drive on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Well, actually, I think that's already been decided. And at this point, I'd have to take on Matt Murphy, and I don't know, he might be able to take me. I'm
Well, he might bite your ear or something like that.
Yeah. Do a Mike Tyson move on me. Yeah, listen, it is the last edition of The Drive on Super Talk 99.7. We're going to be doing things a little differently today, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun for you, a lot of music, a lot of fun, a lot of memories, and a special guest or two may pop up. Who knows? We would love you to hang around for all 4 hours if you can. But I understand it's Christmas Eve. You got things going. Maybe, you're doing some shopping or whatever it is. You're working on dinner for tomorrow. Whatever it is, if you can, be back, I don't know, for the last 30 minutes of the show at 6:30. It's going to be fun. And, because I've run out of words, I'm going to close out tonight with music, because music sometimes can say things that you can't say or you can't announce, or I'm not sure I'm going to be so emotional I could get through it. So it'll be fun, and I hope that you can hang around for a lot of our last broadcast here on Super Talk 99.7. But, we've got work to do as well. It's not all fun and games here. We need to swamp it up here this afternoon. So let's go down to the swamp where I spent 31 God-forsaken years. And boy, I tell you what, I didn't get to Tennessee soon enough. I sure glad that it ended up being here where I ended my career. But I do speak Swampese, and so I can interpret things going on there. Here's an interesting story about Joe Biden. He hasn't really done that many vetoes, but he vetoed a bill that was seeking to create 66 new judge positions. This is the Epic Times version of it. President Joe Biden vetoed a bill aiming to expand judgeship slots in the United States, questioning the motivating force behind the measure. Here's the deal. On December 12th, the Republican-led House of Representatives voted 236 to 173 to approve something called the Judicial Understaffing Delays Getting Emergencies Solved, or Judges Act of 2024. I love it when they try to do acronyms, seeking to add 66 district court judgeships in the country. Now, before the vote, the White House had warned that Biden would veto the bill, and so he did. It wasn't a big surprise here. But here's the thing that you need to know: this bill had strong bipartisan support that would have created 66 judgeships over 3 presidential terms to address our judicial backlog. So he really vetoed a bill that a lot of Democrats like. Listen to this. The Democrats say the bill passed in the Senate with bipartisan support in August at a time when there was no real clarity on who would win the 2024 presidential race. But following President-elect Donald Trump's election victory last month, the Democrats no longer think the bill is fair. That's mainly because, the Republicans will control the Senate, and they would have a lot to say about this. That's pretty rich. Before the election, everybody thought it was a fair and bipartisan bill, but after the Republicans swept the White House, the House, and the Senate, no longer do the Democrats think it's all that bipartisan? Isn't that interesting? A lot of people here, top allies, very upset about it. Senator Chris Coons, who served as campaign co-chair for both Biden's recent campaigns, stressed that he and his Republican colleague Todd Young kept bipartisanship on top of mind when crafting the bill, and he is disappointed, he says, by this outcome for my own state and for the federal judges throughout the country struggling under the burden of ever higher caseloads. So Biden decided to play politics rather than do something that really is needed. District judgeships can get political, but I got to tell you, there's a real need because judges are overloaded. And if you want to crack down on crime, what better way than get more judges to hear more cases? A lot of people tell you, some cases don't go to trial simply because they can't get a judge. They don't have that many slots for trials. They have to pick and choose because there's only so many trials that can be conducted in a year. We told you yesterday about Matt Gaetz and his problems. The Ethics Committee, which is a bipartisan committee, by the way, equal number of Republicans and Democrats on the committee in the House, released the report on him, and boy, it was not pretty. It found that he substantial evidence that Gaetz violated statutory rape law, engaged in broader pattern of paying women for sex, found evidence of illegal drug use and acceptance of improper gifts, and the granting of special favors to personal associates, and obstruction of the investigation. I mean, it's a real problem. A former Republican chairman of the House Ethics Committee said Matt Gaetz has a real problem here after the committee released the scathing report. Let's see what he has. There's clearly issues here of sex, money, and drugs. And really, these are big issues, said one member who is a former member of the committee. His name is Dent. He said that given the magnitude of what they're alleging over Matt Gaetz, there could have been an expulsion recommendation. I can't see any members of the Republican Party in Washington and Congress coming to defense in his matter. He made his own bed, and they're going to let him lie in it. After Gaetz resigned from his seat, there were calls to release the report, and it was done over the weekend. What's going on with all of these nominations that Donald Trump has made? They've got to go through Senate confirmation process, and as you know, that can be brutal. I did exchange today a brief text message with our friend Pete Hegseth. And I told him, I wanted him to come on the show, but, when you're in that role, they just won't let you do media. So he had to politely decline, but he said to send his best wishes to the audience and have everybody have a Merry Christmas. And so it was, it was not a surprise that he can't do it, but he has turned it around. And I told him, in fact, I said, I covered a lot of these confirmation battles. And once the long knives come out, it's pretty rare for somebody to turn it around like Pete has. And he definitely did that. He's on the path to confirmation the way it feels to me right now. What about some of the others? From Pete Hegseth to Robert Kennedy, several of President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet picks have faced major blowback and major opposition. But one pick conservatives are bracing for a knockdown, drag-out fight over seems sailing toward confirmation despite early wailing from Democrats. That would be FBI Director Kash Patel. Patel was the former chief of staff to the Secretary of Defense. He rose to prominence after being a vocal critic of the Mueller investigation into Russian interference during the 2016 election, which turned up nothing but caused a major distraction during Trump's first term. Democrats viciously opposed the Patel pick, citing an enemies list from his book and his pledges to clean out the federal bureaucracy of disruptive and disloyal elements. But, according to the Daily Caller, Patel has been able to rise above the fray due to his legwork that he put in with lawmakers in the years leading up to Trump's second election. A source close to Patel said the commitment to advancing the MAGA agenda drove him to continue cultivating relationships with Senate Republicans even while Trump was out of office. And that singular focus paid off, and the work he put in has him now on the cusp of serving in a critical position in the second Trump administration that he hoped would eventually arrive. So it looks like he's going to be all right as well, even though there was a lot of blowback with this nomination. I think he's going to be great. And man, I'm telling you, if there's one snake pit, one viper's den that needs to be cleaned out, in my opinion, it is the headquarters of the FBI. I have still a lot of respect for the FBI agents who work in the field around the country. I think many of them are dedicated and patriotic Americans who care about enforcing the law. But the headquarters there at the old Hoover building really has become a snake pit, too political. See, they should never get involved in politics, and they did. And they have for some time now. And so I think it's going to be really great if Kash Patel can get in there, and I have some confidence that he can clean that place up and get it back the way it should be, enforcing the law without fear or favor or favoritism. And I think that's going to be a great deal. Rand Paul, he puts out an annual report. He calls it the Festivus Report. And what he does is he details the waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington. You know, that's very much going to be a theme, I think, going forward as we got the Doge effort with Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk and Trump on board with trying to cut government waste, fraud, and abuse. They could start by looking at this report. From the Daily Caller, Republican Kentucky Senator Rand Paul released a report outlining more than $1 trillion in government waste from the past year. The 2024 Festivus report highlighted various instances of wasteful government spending from the federal government, including a pickleball complex in Las Vegas and a cabaret show on ice. This year, I'm whopping a whopping $1 trillion. Over $1 trillion in government waste, including things like ice skating drag queens, a $12 million Las Vegas pickleball complex, like that $4 billion on Ukrainian influencers and more. So that's $4 million on Ukrainian influencers and more. No matter how much money the government has wasted, politicians keep demanding even more. And he goes through and lays out some of this stuff. The State Department spent $500,000 to expand the U.S. Embassy in Ethiopia. Ethiopia's U.S. invests in Ethiopian social media campaign. That's right, $500,000. Wow. The State Department has spent $253,000 to Bosnia to fight misinformation. $2.1 million for Paraguayan border security. We spent $2.1 million on border security in Paraguay, and we can't build a few dang walls? Come on. Spent $3 million on a girl-centered climate action in Brazil. Department of Health and Human Services spent $419,000 and change to determine if this is unbelievable. If lonely rats seek cocaine more than happy rats. Unbelievable. The National Science Foundation spent $288,000 to ensure bird watching groups have safe spaces, also known as affinity groups. President-elect Donald Trump announced on November 12th that he has picked Vivek and Elon to co-chair a new Department of Government Efficiency. As always, I'm taking the path to fiscal responsibility is often a lonely journey, but I've been fighting government waste like Doge before Doge was cool, said Rand Paul, and I will continue my fight against government waste this holiday. I am looking forward to the battles. Let them begin. 20 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Let me just say before I get started, thank you to the Wellness Institute of Nashville, who've been with me since the first day I walked in. And I have a great affinity for Dr. Mitch and Dr. Ashley and all the folks over there. They want you to know that, when your back hurts, that's pressure on your nerves, really. And there's not going to be a pill or a cream that will take that away. Generally, in these cases, you have a couple of choices: surgery or non-invasive spinal decompression. I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Their state-of-the-art facilities offer the latest non-surgical procedures, and because getting better is important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they are offering half-off spinal decompression treatments in the KT knee machine. If you're a new patient, you get an exam, a consultation, your first treatment, $23. And after that, remember, the spinal decompression is half off. I'm Brian Wilson. I proudly put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So call them today at 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about Spice and Easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Just a heads up, check with your airline before you go to the airport. I'm seeing dozens of delays for both departing and arriving flights. Bullets fly inside a Middle Tennessee Walmart. This story coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It didn't help this morning that the American Airlines went down for a while.
Right.
I mean, they had I guess some kind of somebody hacked into their system, or they had a crash of some kind. I don't know, some technical problem.
Some sort of glitch.
Yeah, there was a glitch, that's for sure. A lot of people this morning were really struggling, and airports have backed up. And this is one of the busiest travel days, of course, of the year. So, as you often say, Ken Weaver, and I have stolen this phrase. I love this phrase. You need to pack your patience.
Even though it irritates people.
That's right. Pack your patience and maybe a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Who knows? You might need it before it's over. No, you can't get that through the security line, can you?
No.
So you have to get on the inside and then buy a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
It'll cost you about $15.
That's right.
They'll gladly sell you one, though.
That's a scam, I'll tell you. So you want to know why the Democrats lost the presidential race? We're learning more and more and more about what that campaign was all about. And, they're doing sort of a postmortem, the Democrats are. Hey, what did we do wrong, and how can we correct it? I think a lot of the problem was the candidate. Tucker Carlson sat down with Sean O'Brien of the Teamsters Union recently, and Sean O'Brien told a story about trying to get Kamala Harris to come and answer questions that all of the candidates had done before a bunch of Teamsters. And they wanted her to answer 16 questions. It did not go so well.
One of my vice presidents, a woman named Joan Corey out of my local, she sits on our general executive board, was at an event with Vice President Harris. And, they're going through the line to get the picture, and Joan introduces herself to Vice President Harris, says, "I'm Joan Corey. I'm on the general executive board for the Teamsters." She goes, "Teamsters? You better get on board. You better get on board. Better get on board soon." Says it to my vice president.
To her face?
To her face. So she comes back. We have the meeting the next day.
Damn.
And she tells me this.
I thought I was arrogant. That's really arrogant.
So she tells me this. So I call up Marty Walsh. He wasn't the Secretary of Labor, but, he was pushing hard for us to make the endorsement. I'm like, let me ask you a question, Marty. Excuse my French. Who does this fucking lady think she is? Like, if I want to support from any organization, I am not going to point my finger in someone's face and say, you better get on board or else. But that's the attitude of this whole party. So fast forward, she finally agrees to come. Rank and file members are asking her questions just like they asked every other candidate. They were trying to negotiate with us. She only wants to answer 3 questions. We're like, there's 16 questions here. So she answers 3 of them. And on the 4th question, one of her operatives or one of her staff slips a note in front of me. This will be the last question. And it was 20 minutes earlier than the time that it was going to end.
Come on.
100%. And so, you're there trying to get our support. And her declaration on the way out was, I'm going to win with you or without you.
She thought that or said it out loud?
She said it out loud.
That's insane.
So
that's crazy behavior, actually, if you think about it.
It was insane behavior, which at that point in time, I knew she was going to lose.
And she did. Big time.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to know, those kind of things really can hurt you. I mean, the Teamsters support would have been huge, and she didn't get it. I mean, the Teamsters basically sort of stayed neutral in all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why. Why would you do that if you were a candidate and Michigan, Teamsters, you need Michigan to win, and you're going to insult the Teamsters and make them mad? It's insane. So, I mean, there are a lot of reasons why Donald Trump won and a lot of reasons why Kamala Harris lost. But at the end of the day, I sort of look at her like I look at Hillary Clinton. I say, you know what? Not a stupid woman, with Hillary Clinton or with Kamala Harris. But boy, did they do stupid things in this campaign, and not great retail campaigners, because if you understand how to campaign, the one thing you don't want to do if you're a Democrat is hack off the Teamsters, and she really did. It was personal, and it came straight from her. Wow. Well, hey, listen, coming up in just a moment, we're going to do several rounds today of Phone Your Farb finale. That's because it's the last time you'll get a chance to, to phone your farb is today. So if you want to say something, get on the line at 615-737-9986. Right now, time for the news with Ken Weaver.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, if you've got a flight to catch, check with your airline before going to the airport. I'm counting dozens of delays, both arrival and departure right now. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now I'm in Middle Tennessee. At least one person's hurt following a shooting inside a Walmart in Clarksville. Police said they responded to the store on Fort Campbell Boulevard around 12:45 today after multiple calls to 911. One person had driven themselves to the hospital with multiple gunshot wounds, but not life-threatening. Police say there had been some sort of argument before the shooting and that everyone involved is talking to police. And you're running out of time for any last-minute Christmas grocery shopping. Here's Channel 4's Dryden Quigley.
Most of the stores that are open today won't be open tomorrow. So if you find yourself needing any extra groceries, you should get them before stores close tonight.
Yeah, many of the stores open tonight are running on adjusted hours, so check before you go. Stores like Publix, Walmart, Target, Kroger, Costco closing earlier than usual, and they're all going to be closed tomorrow. 3 men are hospitalized after a fight involving a knife in Mount Juliet. Police say they responded to a home on Eagle Trace Boulevard around 7 o'clock this morning to find an 18-year-old, 20-year-old, 34-year-old suffering injuries. Police say the 20-year-old had pulled a knife. Charges are pending. All of the men know each other, and police are trying to sort out what led to the violence. A recall of eggs sold at Costco locations in Tennessee and other parts of the South, becoming more urgent.
Last month, Handsome Brook Farms announced a voluntary recall of more than 10,000 units of Kirkland Signature organic pasture-raised 24-count eggs. Now the FDA is classifying that recall at the highest risk level. The Class 1 recall means there's a reasonable probability that the recalled product will cause serious adverse health consequences or death. The eggs were distributed to 25 Costco locations across Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee starting November 22nd with a use-by date of January 5th, 2025. Dave Packer, ABC News.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. I tell you, I'm not seeing anything blocking your way on the interstates right now. It is a smooth drive wherever you're going to get home or to go do some last-minute Christmas shopping here on Christmas Eve. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 38 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, and this is the last full-time show, the last edition of The Drive. After today, we're going to take the drive. We're going to park it in the garage. Throw away the keys. I'll be back, but it won't be The Drive anymore. I'll just be filling in. So this is it. And because it is the last show, this is the last time that we'll be able to do something that we usually do when I was doing a Friday show on Fridays. Today, we're going to call it something different. It's time for another exciting edition of Phone Your Farb Finale. That's right. It's the Phone Your Farb Finale, 615-737-9986. That's the number. Maybe you got a bee in your bonnet. You're going to miss this. Maybe there will be a burr under your saddle, or possibly a bug in a very uncomfortable place. 615-737-9986. Whatever's on your mind. Maybe it has to do with news. Maybe you just want to talk for a little bit as we are wrapping up this thing we call The Drive. We'd love to have you hit. We got a lot of open lines today, and I imagine a lot of people are out Christmas shopping and doing last-minute stuff. So we got plenty of room and plenty of time. If you've never called, this is the time to get busy. Again, that number, 615-737-9986, or that's 737-WWTN. We'll start with Steve in Cookville. Steve, hello. You're on with Brian. You've been a regular caller, Steve, and we really appreciate you.
Well, I tell you what, Brian, I've been listening to you and WTN all the way back to when Uncle Phil was on there in the afternoon, and then Ralph took over, and then you took over for Ralph. And I just wanted to wish you Godspeed, sir. And I look forward to hearing your voice some more. I know you won't be on regularly, but I'll still be listening for you.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for your loyal listenership. You've been great. It's been bittersweet the last few days as people have called in or written and said nice things on social media and other places. It means a lot to me. I mean, it really does. It's been very touching. There have been many times, I'll be honest with you, I'll read some comment and I go, they could have just said, good luck, Brian, and that it. But some people took time to write sort of like lengthy letters, and it was fantastic, and it just meant so much to me. Some of them did honestly move me to tears, so thank you for that. Another regular caller to our program, Mr. Bill in Hendersonville. Hello, Mr. Bill. You're on with Brian on The Drive.
Brian, we are really going to miss you, and especially all of those special segments you used to do, but maybe you can come back and do a Charles Kuralt impersonation, or maybe a Wayback Machine or something from a Culture Corner there from bucolic Watertown. I wonder if you might have something special you could do for us today.
Well, let's see. You got the Culture Corner. Welcome to the Culture Corner. And this is where I would write a poem or read something dramatic. So that one. But my favorite is the Wayback Machine, which you mentioned, is that one day I said to Chris, you know what we need to do? We need to use the theater of the mind to develop a Wayback Machine. And Chris worked on it for a little while, and he sent it to me. And I did a little work on it and sent it back to him. And it came up something like, whenever we would say, I remember it as if it were almost yesterday.
We're going back in time. Back in time. I remember it as if it were yesterday.
I mean, that's maybe a little over the top.
That's awesome.
And then we would do the segment, But it is kind of sort of interesting to play around. One of the great things about radio is that it is a medium that requires you to use your imagination. They call it a hot medium. And television is a cool medium. Why? Everything is laid out for you on television. You don't have to really think. You just sit there. They call it the boob tube. You just sit there and absorb, right? You see the pictures, you hear the sound, but since there's no picture in radio, you have to build the picture in your mind. And that's why I love radio. It's it can be such an inventive medium where you can take people on journeys through the appropriate use of sound. I dig that a lot. Thank you for the call, Mr. Bill. Dana in Shelbyville. You know, one of the first things they told me when I came to town, Dana, is that I had to learn how to say Shelbyville.
Hey, Brian, I just wanted to call you one last time and thank you for all that you've done over the years that you've been on the drive. I would work all day and sometimes never get to even pull up news, but I knew I would catch up as soon as I got in the car. And at the top of the hour, you'd always get us up to date on what was happening in the swamp or happening locally or whatever. So I appreciate that. You were a wonderful ad after we lost Phil, and I'm sure going to miss talking to you at 5 o'clock every day.
All right. Do you yell at me in the car sometimes?
No, you always. I didn't always like you in the beginning after Phil. You had to rub off on me, but you did. And I hope Matt Murphy rubs off on me better than he has so far. So I'm but I'm going to give him a shot too.
You're in good hands. I promise you. Thank you for the call. Appreciate it. Jerry in Cross Plains, you're up next on the drive. What's on your mind, Jerry?
Well, I have a prognostication for you, Brian.
Okay.
I do believe you love the beautiful area of Watertown very much as you speak of it. And with that being said, I think you're probably going to run for the mayor.
I don't know. Look, I do believe this. The person who has inspired me most about what to do during your retirement is my sister. And she came out of a pretty high-level education job and began a charity that helps foster kids. And she did so much good for so many people. You know, foster kids really have it rough. They move from home to home to home to home. And when you're 18, they kick you out of the system. And, by the time you're 19 or 20, the chances are better than not that you're either going to be in prison or on drugs or, an alcoholic, or you're going to end up dead. And so she did what she could do to help those kids get a good foundation and support the families that support foster kids. And I just think the world of what she did. And I thought, well, there's something out there like that for me. And I don't know what it is yet. I'm going to be doing some work here to help my little town, Watertown, which I love so much. But I don't know what that thing is, but I'll find it. And when I do, I'll let you know. Thank you for the call. Tony in Wartrace, you're up next on the drive. Hey, Tony, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Brian, man, I just wanted to say thank you for what you do, man. Shoot straight with us on other internet radio. I listen to you every day coming home from work, and hate to see you go, man. I really enjoy listening to you.
Well, thank you very much for that, Tony. I greatly appreciate it. Want to get a bunch of more calls in here. Jason in Lebanon. Again, they told me when I first came here, you got to say Lebanon. So I've been working on Lebanon and Shelbyville and Murray County. How'd I do?
You're correct, Brian. You're correct. I'm really going to miss you. First time calling. I've been listening since back in the G. Gordon Liddy days. And,
wow.
Yeah, that's how long. And I've never called in until today, but I really hate to see you leave. I live not far from you, from the bucolic Watertown that you call it. And I hope someday to come over there and maybe meet you at a cafe and eat breakfast one morning and talk. I don't talk a lot of politics because of the job I have with the state of Tennessee. I can't, but I would love to come meet you one morning for breakfast and just you and I talk.
I would enjoy that. Grab a good cup of coffee down at the coffee shop. One or the other would be good.
All right, and I greatly will miss you and look forward to you filling in. But I love all the other guys that y'all filled in the spaces, and it's just rolling right along with the truth. And I appreciate it. And I just wanted to call and tell you, appreciated all you've done in the last few years.
Thank you, Jason. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, bud. Michael, also from Lebanon. Hello, Michael. You're on with Brian on the drive.
Good afternoon, Brian. First time calling in, speaking with you.
Wow.
You are going to be missed, sir. When Uncle Phil passed away, that was a hard pill for everybody to swallow. And the chemistry that we've heard from between you and Chris and Ken is only matched by that of Johnny B and Uncle Phil.
I agree with you.
the chemistry there is unlike anything on any other show that's been on WTN. And I, too, go back to listening to WTN way back to the G. Gordon Liddy and Dave Ramsey days.
Good Lord.
And,
wow, that really means a lot that you picked up the phone to call today. And you know, I think I mentioned this yesterday. I've been in broadcasting for about, well, it's almost exactly 50 years now. It will be 50 years very soon. And that whole time, finding chemistry is something I've only done maybe twice, maybe three times. Chemistry is an elusive thing in broadcasting. And, you know, from the very first day that Ken and Chris and I were on the air, when we came in out of nowhere to fill in on very short notice for the morning show, it was there, day one. Don't you agree, Ken? Don't you think it was there?
Absolutely, dude.
Yeah. And and you'll agree with me also, it's a rare thing to find.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can, it's an elusive critter, chemistry in broadcasting. And I had a co-anchor that I worked with in D.C. for a while, you know, and we got, our chemistry was so good that we began finishing each other's sentences, and people thought we were dating. We weren't, but it was people really liked that chemistry, and it's just a hard thing to find, but I've been blessed to find it here at Super Talk 99.7. Thank you so much. I'm going to get two more in. Ron, out on the road. Hey, Ron, you're on with Brian on the Drive. What do you say, Ron?
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Great. Back in August of 22, I had the privilege of tagging your garbage can with an orange sticker.
You're Ron, the guy who always picked up my trash, and when I would forget to get it, sometimes you would be nice enough to go over to the side of the house and drag it out for me. You were always great to me when I was over in Mount Juliet, and thank you for that. And I know that you're a longtime listener. You helped me through several of my garbage problems.
Well, you're very welcome, and I just wanted to say thank you for the 6 years. I started listening to you when you came on in the morning. And when you moved to the afternoon, it was kind of tough. But then got to meet you at a couple events, got to meet your awesome wife. And I just want to say good luck to you.
Well, thank you very much, Ron. It means a lot that you called. One more for this session. Don't worry if you don't get through this time. We're going to do this a couple of more times today, so you'll get an opportunity a little later in the show. Anthony, wrap us up for this edition of Phone Your Farb finale. What's on your mind calling from Gallatin?
Well, this is an honor. Well, Brian, I just want to say thank you. You're actually the very first talk radio host that I ever listened to. Being originally from Idaho, I didn't really pay much attention to politics until I moved to Colorado and then to Tennessee, because I went from a blood red state to a really blue state, now back to a red state. And I understand now how important it really is. And I understand why the people like you, Dan Mandis, Chris Hand, Matt Murphy, I didn't realize how much, after doing research, how much of a stacked bench that we have here in Nashville. And especially, you, Brian, that I didn't realize that I was listening to a broadcast legend, and all your knowledge and everything that you've been through in D.C. It really opened up my eyes into politics, and it helped me out with understanding how important it is to pay attention to.
Yeah, you're right.
To what it is. I'm
you
from
seem
that
like,
younger generation.
Yeah, you seem like a younger guy. How old are you?
I'm 28.
Well, listen, thank you for investing the time to be engaged in the process and to find out what's going on. I'm honored, Anthony, that you said such nice things, and I'm honored that you listened. We'll do this, as I said, a couple more times in the 4 and the 5 o'clock hour. So stick around, everyone. 52 past the hour. You know, when you've lived around here a long time, you already have heard the name Eurofix. It's been in Middle Tennessee for years, 24 years to be exact, the place you go to get your European car repaired. And we've watched them grow over time. Well, I don't know about you, but I love watching a hometown business take off. And man, have they got a success story. They are now proud to talk about their most recent location that they've started over in Mount Juliet for Eurofix, right across the street from the Dairy Queen. Eurofix can serve you in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. It's pretty cool getting to watch a small-town mechanic who started in a barn in the backyard of a single-wide trailer grow to 5 locations, repairing thousands of cars each month. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. So call this number, 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Bullets fly in a Middle Tennessee Walmart. A recall of eggs sold at Costco in Tennessee and other locations. And the good news, employers intend to give out raises next year. The bad news? Well, you'll have to wait until 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Wait, the raises are coming and I'm getting out of the business now?
We'll take your cut. Don't worry.
Okay, that'd be fine with me. Let's take a look at the markets very quickly, see how things are looking on this Christmas Eve. We've had, sort of a volatile time. Stocks up and down in very dramatic ways. But as we wrap things up here, it looks like the things are looking pretty good on the day before Christmas. Dow Jones Industrials up 390 points. That's just shy of 1%. S&P 500 up 65 points. That's a little over 1%. And the NASDAQ doing very well today because technical stocks did very well today, up 266 points. That's about 1.33%. So, all of the screens are green today, and, that's a good thing after all this volatility. Listen, this is brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Why don't you find out about all the things they can do to help you get ready for your retirement? Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. 59 minutes past the hour, 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. We're just getting started. Hang around.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And check with your airline before you head out to the airport. B&A right now showing 20 arrivals delayed, 12 departures. And if you're driving, traffic's not that bad right now in Nashville. And TDOT has cleared all of the lane closures for road work unless there's an emergency. That's going to run through Christmas Day. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Middle Tennessee, we're monitoring reports of a shooting inside a Walmart in Clarksville. Police say they responded to the store on Fort Campbell Boulevard around 12:45 today. Several people calling 911. One person had driven to the hospital with what police say were multiple gunshot wounds, but not life-threatening. Police say it was not an active shooter situation, rather an isolated incident that happened after an argument. Everyone involved, police say, is talking to them. Better check before you go to the store for any last-minute Christmas groceries. Shopper Elijah Madison today telling Channel 4.
We're doing a ham. I actually just now bought the ham. I told my family I'd buy it, and I forgot. So until just now, so I had to run out and get it. Yeah.
Were you panicked? Did you think about what stores were open?
I did panic, and I was like, I don't think Publix would have it all. But, they had 2 left, so I snagged one of the last ones here.
Now, many of the stores open tonight will be running on adjusted hours, so check before you go. Stores like Publix, Walmart, Target, Kroger, and Costco, they're going to close earlier than usual, and they'll be closed tomorrow. A recall of eggs sold at Costco locations in Tennessee and elsewhere becoming more urgent.
Last month, Handsome Brook Farms announced a voluntary recall of more than 10,000 units of Kirkland Signature organic pasture-raised 24-count eggs. Now the FDA is classifying that recall at the highest risk level. The Class 1 recall means there's a reasonable probability that the recalled product will cause serious adverse health consequences or death. The eggs were distributed to 25 Costco locations across Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee starting November 22nd with a use-by date of January 5th, 2025. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Prosecutors in New Mexico have withdrawn their appeal to revive the criminal charges against actor Alec Baldwin for the shooting on the set of Rust. Attorney Gloria Allred, who represents the family of cinematographer Helena Hutchins, who was killed, says they're not happy.
He has never contacted our family to apologize or accept any responsibility whatsoever for her death.
Baldwin had been facing manslaughter charges for the death of Hutchins during the case, but that case was dismissed back in July. Money news for 2025. Fox 17 says a survey released by the company PayScale shows U.S. employers are budgeting for 3.5% raises next year, lower than the past 2 years. The positive news, though, is that according to this survey, most employees, about 85%, are expected to get a pay bump. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Well, it's not a crash, but it is emergency road work. It's northbound 65. This is going to be right there at Due West Avenue, just north of Briley Parkway there. The northbound 2 center lanes are blocked by this emergency road work. Other than that, it's clear sailing out there in Middle Tennessee. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey! That's right. This is the last edition of The Drive here today on Super Talk 99.7. My very last show as I am retiring from broadcasting after 50 years, starting as a disc jockey way back in Odessa, Texas. It's been a good run, and so we're going to be having a lot of fun here today. In a minute, we got a real special treat. We're going to have somebody on the phone that I just adore. And another round of Phone Your Farb finale. I want to chat with everybody who wants to talk today. And since this is the last show and since it's Christmas Eve, not a lot going on anyway, we'll do that. And then, we've got a lot of things. If you have to leave, and I understand it's a busy time of year. You got your family, you got the holidays, you've got eggnog to drink. In fact, I wonder if I can get an early glass of eggnog before I finish the show. No, that's not allowed on broad, especially if it's been doctored. Can't do that on the radio.
And is it worth drinking if hasn't been doctored?
Eggnog without the doctoring is just, I'm not sure that's a great experience. One way or the other, we're going to have a lot of fun. But if you can come back at about 6, what would you say, Chris? We've back-timed this out.
About quarter till, probably.
Yeah, about 6:45. 6:45. We'll have a little something, a big shebang on the way out the door.
Yeah,
I think you'll like it. In the meantime, let me actually cover a few things. We're not going to completely ignore what's going on in the world today, just mostly ignore it. Yesterday we told you all about this thing that Trump said over the weekend about wanting to retake the Panama Canal and maybe buy Greenland. Well, it's having the desired effect. When Donald Trump says something like that, sometimes I think Donald Trump does things like that and says things like that knowing that we're never going to go in there and physically take the Panama Canal back. I just don't imagine that's going to happen. But what he has done here is caused us to have a conversation we might not otherwise have. And that's a lot of times what Trump is all about. People don't understand that about him, that he says things to make you think. And he says things to make you look at a situation perhaps anew. And I think we do need to look very carefully at what is happening on the Panama Canal. Think about this for a moment. So much of our economy is based on the ships that flow through the Panama Canal. If you can't go through the Panama Canal to say you're going to the Atlantic to the Pacific, you got to go all the way around South America. That adds weeks. So, it's important to the supply chain to have the Panama Canal. It is important that from a national security standpoint, that our military ships are able to go through the Panama Canal if they need to go through the Panama Canal, submarines, aircraft carriers, the whole 9 yards. That is such a vital part of the world. And what he's really concerned about is that the Chinese seem to be gaining a lot of influence down there, and the Panamanians are allowing it. I think the Chinese are buying off the Panamanians, and at the end of the day, the Panamanians, are they going to be loyal to the United States, which built the damn thing, Or are they going to be loyal to the people who are helping them out at the moment, which happens to be China? So there is stuff that needs to be discussed. Trump's comments seek to claw back a resource that had been under Panamanian control for 25 years under a deal pushed by then-President Jimmy Carter in 1977. How in the world did they ever allow Jimmy Carter to do that? How in the world was that allowed? We should never have done it. Trump complained the deal signed by Carter, saying he foolishly gave away for $1. He implied countries like China were getting undue influence over the management of the canal, a suggestion that nods to provisions in the treaty regarding neutrality. The transition team did not talk about this, and Panama is completely upset. Well, they're just upset because they never get mentioned, and all of a sudden they get mentioned. Panama pushed back on Trump's claim with a lengthy statement from President Jose Raul Molino. Did anybody know the name of the president of Panama before this weekend? I didn't. Noting rates to transit the canal are not decided on a whim. These treaties also establish the permanent neutrality of the canal, guaranteeing its open and safe operation. Well, if it's going to be, open and safe and neutral, that's fine. But what Trump was really saying here, I think, is that perhaps it is not becoming neutral now. So we'll see what happens there. I think what he's doing is he's just getting us to talk, and it's sometimes in politics you got to do the brushback. You know what a brushback pitch is, right? In baseball. I mean, I'm not a big baseball fan, but the idea sometimes a pitcher will brush back the hitter, makes him step back, sort of, to get his attention. Not going to hit him, but it certainly gets his attention, right? Well, I think that he's brushing back the country of Panama, which, quite frankly, it's a hellhole. I got tear gassed in Panama one time. I'll never forget it. I did.
I got to hear that story, dude.
Well, I wasn't going to get into it. Maybe I'll tell it in a minute. But no, it's a rough place, and all of those Central American countries are corrupt. So you could probably buy a lot of influence if you were China. And I think what he's doing is we're watching you. We got our eyes. We're looking at you, Panama Canal. You better straighten up. And I think they will. I think now they know, well, we're on notice. But again, I don't think Trump wants to go in there and try to seize the Panama Canal. Get real. However, this discussion about Greenland is interesting. It's not the first time America has had an interest in trying to buy Greenland. Love this story today from the New York Post. Trump buying Greenland would be the largest territory acquisition ever, topping other massive gains. So listen to this for a moment. President-elect Donald Trump's plan to buy Greenland would be the U.S.'s largest territorial addition in history, topping even the 1803 Louisiana Purchase, which had nearly doubled America's size at the time. Trump's on Sunday added steam to his push to acquire the Arctic island when he announced PayPal co-founder Ken Howry as his pick to be the U.S. ambassador to Denmark, which has controlled the mammoth territory for more than 300 years. Denmark controls Greenland. Did you know that? It's a little factoid. For purposes of national security and freedom throughout the world, the United States of America feels that the ownership and control of Greenland is an absolute necessity. Again, are we going to take over? No. Would we entertain buying Greenland if we could get it for a good price? Yeah. Some estimates it would be over $1 trillion to buy Greenland. And Greenland, I'm not sure that they want to be part of America, although it's an open question. Greenland has 836,330 square miles, which exceeds the square miles America gained with the Louisiana Purchase. It's big. The president then was Thomas Jefferson, and he bought it from France. Trump's acquisition would more than double the size of President James Polk's 1945 annexation of the Republic of Texas, which included disputed regions that are now part of neighboring states. And the Trump administration move would top President Andrew Johnson's 1867 Alaska Purchase, Seward's Folly. That was only 591,000 square miles. 56,000 residents, most of them are Inuits, related to other indigenous groups in the northernmost fringe of Canada and Alaska, and in principle have been given permission by Copenhagen under a 2009 law to sever ties if they chose to. So does Denmark want to sell it? No. Could Greenland on its own decide, we're tired of being a part of Denmark. We now want to be a part of America. We think it'd be better for us. So we are going to sever our ties with Denmark and then renew ties with the United States. Wouldn't that be something? So Trump sees something, art of the deal. Trump sees something out there that he thinks is interesting, and he's really serious about it. But, you can't do it without somebody being willing to sell or making the property available one way or the other. Trump aides who previously worked on the plan determined that the people of Greenland held the key and would need to be persuaded that joining the U.S. was in their best interest. So run a little public service message on the TV stations in Greenland. Welcome to America. Come to America. Be part of America. Land of the free, home of the brave, and holder of Greenland. I wonder how the Greenlanders would vote. Would they be liberal or would they be... It's only 56,000 people, so it's not going to change a lot. But if they become a state, then Trump wants Canada, but Canada and Greenland, well, now you're talking about something.
Depends on where Governor Abbott sends his buses and planes.
In theory, Greenlanders would be presented with a Trump administration plan to improve their economic standing and ensure their continued self-government, followed by a vote on whether to accept the plan, which would be ratified by Copenhagen's parliament, a handover. But the 47th president will face an uphill climb, with Greenland Prime Minister Mute Edge writing this week that Greenland is ours. Well, we're not saying that you can be a self-sufficient territory. Guam. We got Guam.
It hadn't tipped over yet. So.
And it hasn't tipped over yet, even though they got a bunch of aircraft carriers and stuff on one side of the island.
Oh, my God.
We need to pull that soundbite for today. Golly. What was that guy's name? I can't remember.
Hank Johnson.
Hank Johnson. Member of Congress thought that Guam was going to tip over because there were too many military installations on one side of the island. No kidding. It is interesting that Denmark has said that they're about to boost Greenland's defense. This came, I think, at about the same time that Trump made his announcement. I don't think it's related. I think they just plan to do it. They're going to spend about $1.5 billion on a new defense package. For many years, we've not invested enough in the Arctic. Now we are planning a stronger presence. The Russians are being very active in the Arctic. So are the Chinese. Canadians are worried about it. And so Copenhagen is going to spend $1.5 billion to up the defense of Greenland. There you go. So maybe it did have an impact. Again, sometimes I think he does things just to sort of goad people into action. Speaking of Trump, pretty interesting little story here. I think we'd have to say that it was Pennsylvania that put Trump over the top. It was so important. As we said, Pennsylvania was the swingiest of all the swing states. According to exit polls conducted by CNN, Trump saw a 16-point shift among voters aged 18 to 29 compared to his showing in 2020. Voters identifying as political independents moved 15 points toward Trump. Meanwhile, Hispanics shifted 24 points in favor of America First leader, while black men moved 31 points. Those numbers, if you're a Democrat, that's got to be troubling. And if you can hold on to those numbers, that would be great. The significant voter shift resulted in Trump capturing all four of the critical bellwether Pennsylvania counties, Bucks, Erie, Monroe, and Northampton. Notably, these areas also saw heavy voter turnout during early voting in the days before November 5th. According to the Trump campaign's chief data consultant, Tim Saylor, the high turnout was driven largely by the campaign's effort to target and energize low and mid-propensity voters. Well, whatever they did, it worked. I mean, they got people to the polls, even people who have not shown a great deal of interest in politics. In a minute, just I think a real treat for you. It's 20 minutes past the hour. Yeah, listen, it's Christmas Eve, and guess what? Genesis Diamonds is still open. If you need a land, they love last-minute shoppers, man, and they've got tons of great ideas and a great way for you to bring home something special this Christmas. You can splurge on a $9,000 diamond ring and pay just $150 a month. That's right. And with approved credit, 5 years, 0% interest. So you go in there and you pick out anything in the store, divide it by 60, and that is the number of that's the cost of your monthly payment. $5,000 for a pair of diamond stud earrings at just $85 a month. You can even finance the sales tax. And you can use an amazing offer on anything. Designer engagement rings, classics like diamond pendants and bracelets. All of Genesis hand-selected GIA-certified diamonds are included, and so are their luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Is this the year you treat someone or even yourself with a Rolex or an amazing diamond eternity band? They got the best holiday collection ever. Genesis guaranteed best value prices, 5 years, 0% interest financing offer. You can make this the best Christmas ever and still stay in budget. Merry Christmas from Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs, on approved credit only.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
We're learning more about shots fired inside a Middle Tennessee Walmart. That story and more coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right. Thank you, Ken Weaver. You're listening to The Drive, our final broadcast here on this day before Christmas. Thank you so much for being with us. I know you got a lot of things going on, and I appreciate you being here. You know, music is such an important part of my life, and I just... Ken, I don't know if you know this or not, but occasionally I write a song, and I've written a song for this occasion.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
It's a song I think that, well, I didn't really write it. I'm just going to play it. It's a song that I know has a deep, deep meaning to many people in our audience, and I just feel like, you know, it would not be a complete broadcast unless I brought it to you in my own inimitable style.
Wow.
So you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go, everybody. 1877 car for kids. KARR cards for kids. 1877 cars for kids. Donate your car today. So there you go.
Oh, that sounds like a number one hit.
I butchered that one, didn't I? Yeah.
Or did you? I don't know.
No, I did. and so, you know, as long as we were talking about guitar, I want to turn to our Newsmaker hotline. And joining us on the line now is I think, the best chicken picker in the world. I came to know Johnny many, many years ago when I lived in D.C. I think the world of his talent. And people say to me all the time, people call me up and they say, hey, that song that you play, that's the sort of the opening theme song and you close on it every hour, who is that and where did it get? Well, it's done by a guy named Johnny Highland, who used to be in Nashville, now lives over on the East Coast, and he's on the line with us now. Johnny, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you, Brian. Thank you for having me, buddy.
Well, it's always a pleasure. Glad to have you here on the last broadcast here. You know, you were so gracious. I called you up one day, and, you know, a lot of artists won't let you do this, but I called up Johnny. I said, Johnny, I love that song that you do. It's called All Fired Up. And I said, I want to use it for the opening of my show, and it'd be sort of my theme song for the show. Do you mind if I use it? And you were very gracious to say, yeah, go ahead. It's fine. And we have used the heck out of it. And people love that chicken picking. And so tell me what's going on with Johnny Highland these days. And before we get out of here, we're going to give you a big old chunk of All Fired Up as we go to commercial break here in a bit. But what's going on in Johnny Highland's life these days?
Well, actually, my wife and I moved out of Nashville in 2018, and we live in Chatham, Virginia now, where I am running a studio full-time now, man, and doing full band tracking for people all over the world.
Wow. And how's that
yeah,
going?
And of course, oh, it's fantastic, Brian. It's really like another dream come true for me, buddy. I feel like the good Lord's blessed me every time I've turned around in my career, buddy, and this is just another dream come true for me.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to do it, and now I'm doing it full time, and it's wonderful.
Are you still doing any dates and traveling? Because I know, you know, that when you talk to people, really, I'm dead serious about this. You talk to people who really know about guitar playing, people who are really serious about guitar, and there are a few names that come up. Brent Mason's name comes up. I mean, he's a great picker. In country music, we got great pickers like, you know, my big three are Brad Paisley and Ricky Skaggs and Vince Gill. But when you talk to serious guitar players, they also throw in the name Johnny Highland because, you know, your style is just unbelievable.
Yeah, but you know, Brian, what people don't understand is I paid all those guys really well to say nice things, man. You know, that's all it boils down to. That's all it boils down to, buddy. And I must say, Brian, I am so thankful to you, buddy, for your not only your friendship, man, but your support always, man. You've been such a dear friend to me, and I'm just, like I said, so honored to be on here, man, on your last show. It's just amazing.
Well, let's get our time is running down, and we got to go. So let's play a little bit of All Fired Up, unedited, for your pleasure. Thank you, Johnny Highland, for letting us use it.
Anytime, buddy. You bet.
And coming up, we'll do another round of Phone Your Farb finale right after the news with Ken Weaver on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
4:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Still showing about 20 departure, or rather arrival delays. About 15 departure delays at BNA. So call your airline before heading out on this Christmas Eve. Full forecast. Traffic updates in 5 minutes. We've learned more about the shooting inside a Clarksville Walmart today. Happened around 12:45. Numerous 911 calls coming in there at the store on Fort Campbell Boulevard. Police say it was an isolated incident stemming from an argument. The people involved traded gunfire. At least one person injured. Drove himself to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police say all of the people involved are in contact with them. That store's closed for the day. Walmart out with a statement, says safety and security of customers top priority, and they're working with law enforcement on this investigation. You need any last-minute groceries for Christmas? Channel 4's Dryden Quigley talked to some of those folks today.
While it can be stressful, one man said there was an added benefit to last-minute shopping. What was it like in there?
Busy. I saw several friends of mine that I haven't seen in a couple of years, actually, shopping, and they're doing last-minute things.
Stores like Publix, Walmart, Kroger, Target, and Costco closing earlier than usual tonight, so check before you go. They will be closed tomorrow. That Mega Millions jackpot has soared to an estimated $1 billion ahead of its Christmas Eve drawing tonight. The estimated jackpot would make it the 7th largest in the game's history. Its 7th billion-dollar prize. Also the largest ever won in December if a ticket matches all 6 numbers drawn. Mega Millions jackpot's only been won on Christmas Eve once before. A $68 million jackpot won in New York, December 24, 2002, and it was never claimed. The odds of winning this jackpot, 1 in 303 million, according to Mega Millions. And right now in Bethlehem,
Deus qui an sacratissima noctem, veri luminis fecisti illustratione,
with the backdrop of war in Gaza, Midnight Mass being celebrated at the Church of the Nativity in the Israeli-occupied West Bank city of Bethlehem, early Christmas Day. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Yeah, we're all clear on the interstates. I don't see any crashes or slowdowns to speak of on the interstates. And a reminder, the kind of a gift from TDOT, they have removed the orange barrels from a lot of this road work around the area, except for the long-term projects to help you get to your destination more smoothly. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Let me ask you a question. The question comes from the folks at Stotesco. You got any land that you aren't doing anything with? A lot of people buy land and they just sit on it. Well, don't do that. Invest in that investment. Build something on it. Do something with your money. Put money into real assets by building on your land. Maybe, here's an idea. You got a piece of land out in the country. Build a barn dominium on it. Go there for the weekends and maybe retire there. Barn dominium is a barn that you live in, and they're just so cool. They're very hot right now. Pole barns can take many different shapes and sizes and be used for many different things. You can use it as a garage or an equestrian space. How about building a big event space and leasing it out? Let other people have fun on your land, and rent it out for you, make a little income. A lot of things you can do. Do me a favor. Just go to their website, stoltzco.com, STOLTZCO, stoltzco.com. Take a look at what they've done for other people, and you'll instantly get it. Call them at 615-622-5992. And again, learn more about what they do at stoltzco.com. That's stoltzco.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
You know who just tried to call me?
Who's that?
Ricky Skaggs.
Oh,
Brother Skaggs.
Let me see if I can send him a message to call the other number. Let's see, message, and so that he can get on the line. Message. Here we go. Mobile, and I don't have the number. I'll get. You have the number, don't you, Chris?
I do. Yeah.
Call him up while
right.
we're doing this next thing. All right. It is 39 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Time for a little thing that we like to do called Phone Your Farb Finale. That's right. We want to know what's on your mind, and you know the number, 615-737-9986. That's right. Get on the line now, and, maybe you want to, just chat. We got a lot of lines open today, and I know it's a holiday, so we love first-time callers. This is we're just not going to have the chance to talk as much as we used to, so get on the line and call. Maybe you got a bee in your bonnet. Maybe you got a burr in your saddle. Maybe you have a bug in an unpleasant place. Just say, get on the line and take advantage of our 100,000-watt soapbox. 615-737-9986. Okay, we will start out with this. Let's start with this sketchy character over here. I don't know this guy, but I don't know if we should take his call or not. Let's go to line 11 if we could, Chris. Pardon me, sir. Who is there?
This is Rick Burns.
Oh yeah, this is my pastor. Oh, I guess we can let you. How you doing, Rick? Rick is the pastor of my church, which one of these days I got to get around to officially joining, the Round Lick Baptist Church in Watertown. And I appreciate you calling in on my last day.
Well, I was listening, and it occurred to me that this is actually the first time I have ever called into the station. I've listened for years, and so the first time I do, it sounds like I have bumped Ricky Skaggs.
Well,
I don't know how that happened.
Well, we're gonna have to talk for a moment, but he's on the other line, so let's talk very briefly. You know what? I have come to love this town of Watertown, and you and me and a couple of guys get together occasionally for coffee down at the coffee shop, and I'm going to have a lot of time on my hands. So, you and I and our friends, David and Alex can all get together and we'll solve the world's problems.
Absolutely. But I just want to tell you that on behalf of all those Round Lickers there in Watertown,
at the Round Lick Baptist Church, that's right. Yeah.
or Round Lickians, however you want to put it. We are very proud of you, and we're going to miss you on the show, but we are privileged. We're of the privileged few that this doesn't end our relationship. I think it takes it to a new level, and we're excited about that and the different things that we're going to see in our community. You have been such an amazing part of an addition to the community. As you always say, got there as soon as you could, but we're so glad you got there when you did. And we're just grateful for you.
All right. Well, you and me and some other folks
on the radio.
You and me and some other folks going to make Watertown great again. Okay.
All right. Sounds good, buddy.
Sounds good. Thank you, Rick. And speaking of Rick, let's go to another Ricky. Ricky Skaggs is standing by on the line. Hey, brother, how you doing?
What in the world are you doing? Trying to leave this community? I think people would be up in arms if you start to try to leave. So I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for all that you've done. You've changed people's opinions here in Nashville about politics, about talk radio. You've done it right, and you've been such a leader, man. I couldn't be more proud. I really. You know that I love you. I love our friendship that we've had for many years, even when you was up at Fox in D.C. And so, anyway, I'm proud to know you, Brian. And
I was looking the other day because I have a poster on my wall that goes back to shortly after we became friends. That reminds me of how long we've known each other. I think it's about 18, maybe 19 years now.
Wow,
I know,
that's a long time.
I know, and you've made it possible for me to do some fabulous things. From time to time, I get to hang out with you on the bus with all the boys, and I just appreciate you for the human being that you are. You have been a spiritual crutch for me at times, and I appreciate that. And I want you to know that the good Lord blessed you with talent that is just beyond measure. And I am proud to call you my friend and proud to have time. You got me one of the greatest gigs that I've ever had. Somehow you arranged it so that I could be a guest announcer on the Grand Ole Opry one night. And I will never forget it because I asked that it be done during that month where the Grand Ole Opry goes back to the Ryman during the holidays.
Yes.
And I got to do it at the Ryman, and you showed me around and introduced me to like little Jimmy Dickens, and we just had a great time that night. And I'll always value our friendship. And now that I've got some time on my hands, and I've got a few guitars around here, Ricky, if you need a backup player sometime.
That's the truth. That's the truth. So I know I can always call on you. And the Lord blessed me with a bunch of good friends too, and you definitely are one of them. And I speak for so many in Nashville that listen to 99.7 every evening at the Drive Time Buddy, and we just appreciate you, Brian. You're not a fake, you tell it like it is, and I love that. You don't try to just tickle people's ears, you go after their heart, and try to wake them up, and that's good. And we just appreciate you, and I know that God has more great things for you to do, and you're not retiring, you're going to refire. It's going to be a refirement. Yeah. So I'm believing for that.
I'll tell you, my ears are open. I'm waiting to find out what that thing is. But I value your friendship, and I greatly appreciate you calling in on the last show. It means a lot to me. Let's get together and break bread before long.
Yes, tell your honey we love her too, and we look forward to seeing you guys after the first of the year. Right now, I'm fixing up a big old prime rib to stick in the oven, and we're going to have that for dinner here. So,
all right.
Wish me luck.
All right, love to you and Miss Sharon.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Brian.
All right, talk to you later. Well, we have some other people stacked up here on the line, 615-737-9986. Let's go to George in Reading, Pennsylvania. George helped us out during the campaign to let us know what was going on in the all-important swing state of Pennsylvania. Hey, George, how are you?
Okay, Brian. Just wanted to call in and thank you for the honor of being your Pennsylvania correspondent through the election. We won.
Yeah.
And also for the years of translating Swamp for us.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, man. And you were great to fill us in.
Okay, and I really wish you a long and healthy retirement and a blessed Christmas season. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Leanne in Murfreesboro, you're up next on the drive. What's on your mind, Leanne?
Hello, Brother Brian. First of all, let me say Merry Christmas and congratulations on 50 years. Wow. That's amazing. I'm so tickled to death, and I'm a first-time caller. And I don't want to get in too deep, but I just want to say that Mama, she started hearing your program, and I started saying, "Who is that, Mom?" And she told me who it was, and then I started listening with a little bit with her. And the next thing, what got me so tickled is, I can't stop laughing about it now, it's funny. But when you said, sometimes you may have a bug in your saddle, I told my mom, I said, the next time that I get a chance, when I can, I am going to call into that show, and I'm going to try to show Brian how I did it. It was so funny how he did it. I couldn't help it. So when you say you had a bug in your saddle,
a bug in a very unpleasant place. And then Ken Weaver goes.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Thank you, Leanne. Appreciate it. Jake in Columbia, you're up next on the drive. What's on your mind today, Jake?
All I want to say is good ride, cowboy.
It has been a good ride. I'm reaching the end of the trail.
And maybe you can be the next head representative in your town where you can retain some good police persons.
All right. Well, listen, I thank you for that, Jake. I appreciate you calling. Couple more calls before we run out of time here, and we'll do this one more time. One more time. We don't normally do 3. But I'm just feeling like I want to talk to people. WD, also from Murfreesboro today. What's up, WD?
Hey, I just wanted to wish you well. I'm also retired, and get ready to be busier than you've ever been in your life.
People keep saying that. Yeah.
But anyway, I just my wife's a member of the Republican Women of Rutherford County, and you spoke at our Christmas party a few years back.
I remember that.
Enjoyed that. And enjoyed your perspective on the swamp. I think being up there and being able to survive that and be able to escape and make it down here to lovely Tennessee. And then also we last year visited up in Pennsylvania at the Flight 93 Memorial, and I listened to some of the videos. I heard your voice, and I said, this guy's a big deal.
You know, I'm gonna do some traveling. I got a motorhome, and I'm gonna go around the country and visit some people that I dearly love and that I've been wanting to see for a while, and just people that have been important in my life. And one of the things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go by Shanksville, because I have heard from many people, and I've not been there, that in the presentation that they do, it's sort of an audiovisual presentation, that they take a clip from me from 9/11 on that day, talking about the flight that went down in Shanksville. And so I want to go see that. And I have some unfinished business on that story. And I definitely want to go to Shanksville. All right, I'm going to get emotional. I got to stop. It's 50 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Let me tell you about the folks at Beacon. They want to help you get ready for your retirement. And, this is a time of the year where people stop and try to take stock of where their stock is, find out how their investments are doing. And maybe with all the changing things that are going on in the world, you need to sort of relook at things, make sure you're doing the right things so you can retire comfortably. Well, if you're thinking about that, you're not alone, but there are steps that you can take to be better positioned regardless of what happens. You deserve the confidence to know that no matter what's going on in the economy, you have a plan that helps keep your financial goals in line with your life's priorities. If you're in or nearing retirement, Beacon Capital Management has an absolutely free retirement-ready toolkit just for you. You're going to get a book called Money Enough for Life, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper. This is just chock full of good information, stuff you can really use. There's no cost, no obligation, and absolutely no pressure. Call this number, 615-488-9303, to get your free retirement-ready toolkit. That number again, 615-488-9303.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Shootout inside a Middle Tennessee Walmart. Details at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
55 minutes now past the hour, almost 56 minutes past the hour. Boy, what a great day this has been. Wasn't it great to hear out of the blue Ricky call in?
Yeah.
Our relationship goes back a ways when I was in Fox News. I can tell you this is the god-awful truth. It's the god-honest truth is what it is. The first CD I ever bought. Now, I had a lot of vinyl, but the first CD that I bought was a Ricky Skaggs CD. And now I have about 1,000 CDs, and I'd say about a quarter of them are Ricky Skaggs CDs. It's really the truth. So I had him on the show that I did on the weekends there called Weekend Live. And he was doing a thing about voter registration and that kind of stuff, and trying to get people out to vote. And then it went pretty well. And at the end of it, during the commercial break, I punched in and I could talk to him directly. And I said, "Hey," I said, "Mr. Skaggs, thank you so much for being on the show. I am a huge fan. I mean, a real huge fan, and it's an honor to have you on the program." I said, "Thank you." And he said, "Well, you're welcome. You're welcome." And that was the end of it. But I think about 3 months later, I'm sitting in my office and the phone rings. He says, "Is this Brian Wilson?" I said, "Yes, it is." He says, "This is Ricky Skaggs." And I went, "It is not." And he said, "No, it is. It is." He said, "So what are you doing tonight?" And I said, "Nothing." He said, "Well, I'm over here at the Birchmere," which is a place where, he performs in when he comes to Washington area. So I'd love for you to come out. And so I said, "I'll be right there." And then I wrapped up my business, and I got in a car, and I drove over to the Birchmere. And I walked right onto Ricky Skaggs' bus, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
Yes,
I mean, like I owned the thing. It was great. And, all the guys were there, and I got to introduce to people that I still know today. Mark Fain was there, great bass player. Cody Kilby, a tremendous flat picker. He was there. Darren Vincent was there. And a now deceased banjo player by the name of Jimmy Carter. That's easy to remember his name because he's got the same name as the president. He was there, and I got to know those guys. And and the next thing we've become friends. And I would go to Nashville on occasionally. Got to watch him and Bruce Hornsby put together a song one day in the studio. Still one of the red letter days of my life, sitting there and watching that process happen. And I was there the day that Ricky Skaggs recorded, what's it called? She's a very kinky girl. You remember that one?
Super Freak.
Super Freak, that's right.
I forgot that. They
did a bluegrass version of Super Freak, which is a riot. And so I thought the whole time that I was there, that I thought, and he said, "Well, we're going to be recording Super Freak, me and Bruce Hornsby." I said, "Okay. Does Rick James know this?" And so he said, "Come on up to Nashville." I jumped a plane. I mean, last minute thing, got on a plane, came to Nashville. I was sitting in his parking lot at like 10 o'clock when they all rolled in, right? Musicians, 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get up too early. So, and I'm sitting there and I go back and they're actually writing out the chart. They're listening to the Rick James version of the song, and they're writing out the chart using something that I still don't understand, the Nashville number system. And they hand me a copy of it, and they say, "Here, you can follow along." I looked at it, and it was a bunch of Roman numerals. I didn't know what it was. And I thought they were pulling my leg the whole time. But I'll be danged if they didn't go into the studio and cut a bluegrass version of Super Freak. And it was a great day. Getting to hang there with Ricky Skaggs. We've got, we got about 2 more hours of this mess to go. So why don't you come on back after the news with Ken Weaver. And if you have to leave, come back for sure about 6:45. I think you're going to like the finale, the grand finale of The Drive on Super Talk.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. At least one person hurt in a shooting inside a Clarksville Walmart today. 911 calls from the store on Fort Campbell started pouring in around 12:45. Police say 2 people had been arguing and started shooting at each other. One person drove to the hospital with multiple gunshot wounds, but not life-threatening. That store is closed until further notice. Police say everyone involved is in contact with him. In New Mexico, prosecutors have withdrawn their appeal to revive the criminal charges against actor Alec Baldwin for the death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Attorney Gloria Allred, representing Hutchins' family, read a statement from her sister.
My family is deeply disappointed both by the court's dismissal of the criminal case against Alec Baldwin and now by the recent withdrawal of the appeal that would have reviewed that dismissal.
The family says it plans to press forward with a civil lawsuit against Baldwin. Washington officials revealing this week the suspect in the University of Idaho stabbings, Brian Kohberger, had been investigated in connection with an earlier home invasion in nearby Pullman, Washington. Here's Diane Macedo.
According to the report, the woman described the Pullman suspect as 5'3" to 5'5". Kohberger is 6 feet tall. The report also reveals Kohberger, a Pennsylvania resident, was not yet enrolled at Washington State University, nor was he visiting the campus as a prospective graduate student. Pullman police tell ABC News Kohberger is no longer a person of interest in the break-in, adding, "We have no reason or evidence to believe he was involved in this burglary at this time." The case is now closed, but remains unsolved.
Back here in Tennessee, legal sales of hemp flour and other THC-infused products safe for now. A judge in Nashville granting a temporary injunction blocking a new State Department of Agriculture rule, which growers sued over because they say it's going to put them out of business. The rule makes it illegal to sell hemp products containing more than 0.3% THCA when burned. That's the part that gives you a marijuana-like high. Judge Aisha Miles said the court needs more information on the testing, and the time it would take to get that information will not unduly harm the department or public and will preserve the status quo. That injunction prevents the rule from being enforced until February 18th. The Mega Millions jackpot up to $1 billion ahead of tonight's drawing. Tickets off in a last-minute gift. Would you share your winnings with the person who gifted it to you? Lottery ticket buyers in Southfield, Michigan today.
I wouldn't ask for anything back.
I don't want it all. Just give me some. You know, I ain't trying to be greedy.
I would expect them to give me something. It wouldn't matter how much.
I mean, with that jackpot almost being $1 billion, give me something.
Yeah, the odds of winning the jackpot tonight, 1 in 303 million, according to Mega Millions. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. I'm not seeing any issues on the interstates this Christmas Eve. Now, I am looking toward Hendersonville here, and I'm seeing quite a backup on Long Hollow Pike at New Shackle Island Road. Not sure what's going on there, but east and westbound Long Hollow Pike to the east of New Shackle Island Road is bumper to bumper, stop and go. Same goes for north and southbound New Shackle Island Road there, just south of Long Hollow Pike. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's right. We're getting ready to wrap this sucker up here in a few minutes. I got 2 hours to go here of the last edition of The Drive. It ends today on Christmas Eve. So if you are here with me on Christmas Eve, first let me say how much I appreciate that, because I know you got a lot of other things going on that you need to be doing. Thank you very much. This is Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and we're about to put this thing in park. And then we're going to throw the keys away and sell the parts for scrap. That's what we're going to do. So hang around with us. We got 2 more hours to go. We're going to do a little news. I have some fun stuff scheduled after we do a sort of a serious news segment. And we're going to do yet one more round, if you're up for it, of Phone Your Farb finale, because I really have enjoyed talking to people today. I will do that after the news at the bottom of the hour. And, here in our show, one of the things that I've always been very proud of, it's a skill that I honed earlier on as a reporter, was the idea of the segue. Now, if you don't know that term, it's basically, I think it's a French term for blending. Blending seamlessly.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I believe that's right. But one way or the other, that's what it means, that you blend things. So, what I used to call when I first got into the business, thought links. In other words, you do one story which relates to another story, and then that story relates to a third story. And finding those things, is sort of hard sometimes. But, I like to think that, I like to call myself the king of blends. Because, I have an ego and I like to brag on myself. But I'm pretty good at doing that. But sometimes you just can't do that. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you cannot make them go together.
What do you do?
Well, Chris, the only thing you can do in a situation like that is to just squish them together like that.
Makes sense.
So... Oh, you're going to miss me when I'm gone. All these great sound effects. No, it's not sound effects. They're not sound effects. They're sound design. People get Emmys for sound design.
That's right. We don't, but people do.
But it is an art. Theater of the mind. So we'll squish some stories together. First of all, let me start with this one. Here's number one. Tom Homan is going to tear things up day one of the Trump administration. He's going to go out there, and they're going to start doing everything they can to find the very bad hombres who've come into this country illegally and arrest them and capture them and get them out of the country and send them back to where they came from. And he was asked about it at CNN. I don't even know why they asked him this question.
How many days after Trump is sworn in before this effort to carry out the mass deportations begins? I know you said it starts on day one, But after how many days will we actually start to see that happening?
Day one. Day one will be ICE officers across the country will be out on the streets. Right out of the gate, President has made it clear, and I've made it clear, the priority right out of the gate is public safety threats and national security threats. And there's plenty of them to find, right? I looked at the data under the Biden administration. The deportation of criminal aliens have decreased 74%. So we have all those folks that the Biden administration failed to deport, plus you got this over 10 million encounters on the southern border that came across. We got a lot of them to look for too. So the public safety threats are plenty, and it's going to keep us busy.
And they're going to get after it day one. And if you ever had any doubts about why Joe Biden and the Democrats wanted to open up the borders and let people in, this is the story that confirms everything that we had suspicions about. 3 million temporary migrants could sway congressional seats thanks to a Census Bureau change. The U.S. Census Bureau will now count refugees and border releases in its population estimates, a move that will affect congressional apportionment forecast and demographic data. In a blog post Thursday announcing the change, that was last week, the Bureau noted that a net of 2.8 million people migrated to the United States between 2023 and 2024. This is significantly higher than our previous estimates. The data offers a glimpse of how congressional apportionment maps could change by 2030. It also shows how U.S. citizens flee states with garbage leftist policies. The inclusion of non-citizens in census data allows those states to keep congressional seats because their population is propped up by illegal aliens. That was one of the reasons why it was all done. People were fleeing the blue states, and they were going to the red states, and as a result of that, they're going to get to keep some congressional seats that they might have lost in the reapportionment, which happens every 10 years. And they wanted to get those people to come in and become citizens and vote Democrat. 2 reasons. Number 2, more than 4,500 U.S. troops are spending Christmas in Iraq and Syria. The other day they told us, that they had a lot more people in Syria than we knew. Pentagon has admitted that at least 1,100 more U.S. troops are deployed to Iraq and Syria than had been previously acknowledged. You know why they did that? Because they were about to get called out on it when Trump came in. What do you mean we got that many? That's not what they said. Once again, the Pentagon has acknowledged that its footprint in the Middle East is bigger than it has claimed for years. In fact, after years of claiming the total number of service members deployed to Iraq and Syria was around 3,400, the Pentagon acknowledged this week that 4,500 U.S. troops are in the 2 countries this holiday season. This according to taskandpurpose.com. Military officials have long claimed that 900 American troops were deployed in Syria and another 2,500 in Iraq. Wasn't true. But Air Force Major General Pat Ryder, a Pentagon spokesman, said last week that the true number of U.S. troops in Syria is close to 2,000. Monday, Ryder confirmed that more than 2,500 troops are deployed to Iraq, although he did not specify the exact number. They're still playing games with it, but they needed to get straight before somebody came in and said, those people were lying to you. So they preemptive strike to clean. There's got a lot of cleaning up people had to do before Trump takes over. Number 3, nuclear power plants report a massive uptick in drone sightings. This is really something. The number of drone flyovers of nuclear plants in 2024 nearly doubled in just 1 week from December 10th to December 17th, according to data provided to the War Zone by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the NRC. Between January 1st and December 10th, nuclear facility licensees reported a total of 15 drone events. As of about 1 p.m. on December 17th, that number jumped to 26. NRC spokesman Dave McIntyre told the War Zone on Friday in response to their query, whether the timeline overlaps with a rash of drone sightings across the country, especially in the New Jersey area, including over military installations and energy infrastructure. It is unclear at the moment what, if any, connection there is to the dramatic increase in suspicious drone events over nuclear facilities. Before January 2024, nuclear power plant licensees voluntarily reported flyovers by uncrewed aerial systems such as drones to the FAA, law enforcement, local and the FBI, and the NRC. McIntyre told the War Zone because reporting was voluntary, our information may not reflect the total number of UAS overflights of nuclear power plants. Once a flyover is reported, the NRC provides the specifics to other agencies to follow up. They have, this drone thing, I think some of it is a bit of a frenzy. People looking up into the sky and, everything they see that looks like it's moving and light in the sky is a drone. Sometimes it's planes, sometimes it's other stuff. Sometimes it's drones. We know that drones have been flying over nuclear power plants, critical infrastructure, military bases, and sensitive installations. We know that. So there's something at the core of this that we need to understand. It's being used, I think, for intelligence gathering. I think it's probably being done by some of our adversaries, especially China. They've caught a couple of people who were Chinese who've been doing this as they were trying to escape the country. So something is going on, and I'm pretty sure we're not hearing the entire story. Next. Some residents report seeing mysterious flying objects in Rutherford County. Ken, right over your house. This is happening.
Biscuit eater.
That's right. The conversation around unknown flying objects made it to Middle Tennessee. Several people in Murfreesboro said they saw bright lights hovering in the night sky Sunday. Murfreesboro resident Matthew Holt said he walked outside after work and was puzzled when he saw a glowing orb. Well, there's nothing that you want to see. You don't want to look up in the sky and see a glowing orb unless it's the moon.
Yes, sir.
Floating near Interstate 24. It looked like a big eyeball, truth be told, he said.
Probably because it couldn't believe its eyeball.
That's right. News 2 hadn't confirmed what these lights are, but the national fascination around flying objects, which sparked after several sightings in New York and New Jersey, has grabbed lawmakers' attention. And Marsha Blackburn has written a letter to the Department of Defense asking for questions. And finally, that's the worst one.
That's really just...
Yeah, that's just... Oof. What was that a meteor flying over parts of Middle Tennessee? Many viewers suspected that they were seeing was a meteor, however, not the case. What many people thought was a meteor seen over parts of Middle Tennessee was actually a Chinese satellite, according to an astronomer. On Saturday night, Channel 4 received video from viewers in the Mount Pleasant and Columbia area. Many viewers suspected what they were seeing was a meteor. However, that was not the case. Dr. Jonathan McDowell said Gaoxing 1-02 SuperView-102, a Chinese satellite operated by Beijing's based SpaceView, re-entered over the United States overnight. The fireball was seen across the southeast with reported sightings from Arkansas to Florida. NASA said even though the public is not at risk from seeing the satellites in the sky, they did say that more sightings are possible. About a month ago, SpaceX Starlink satellite was also seen burning up in the atmosphere. Starlink's got a lot of them. They're going to lose one now and then. Good news is they're small. They burn up before they hit the ground. So there you have it. Now, so some of those stories actually didn't need to be squished. Some of them actually, I'm so good at doing this, Chris, that I can't even help myself sometimes. These stories just blend together, even if I don't want them to blend together.
But it's fun to play the squish sound effects.
Yeah, it's, can we do another one? Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I'm going to be looking for that eyeball on my way home tonight.
Yeah, see if you can see that. But get me a picture. I want to see it.
I'll do it.
All right, now, coming up in just a moment. We have requests, and you're not going to believe some of the things that people have requested to hear again on our program. We'll do that right after this break, 20 minutes past the hour. Here's another company that has been with me since day one, and I want to appreciate you being so supportive of me. Thanks a lot, William and Brandon. Merry Christmas from the entire family at Busy Bee. Busy Bee has a limited number of 1 1/2 to 3 ton split heat pumps for residential unit replacements, only $6,995. That includes labor, equipment, material, and warranty. This system offers a great balance of energy efficiency and year-round comfort for residential homes. How about a $69 mainline camera inspection from the outside cleanout or a free package upgrade for air duct cleaning? Basically, you buy a basic air duct cleaning, you upgrade to the mid-level. Buy the mid-level, they give you the premium air duct cleaning, no extra charge. And you get a $500 gift card after installation of a whole home main water or drain line replacement or a whole home water or drain repipe. For satisfaction guaranteed, call the good people at Busy Bee HVAC, your Rude Pro partner, 615-775-7833. Learn more at busybeehvac.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
We'll tell you what we have learned about that shooting inside a Middle Tennessee Walmart today, coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Papa. Merry Christmas from all the folks here at Super Talk 99.7 and from my crew here for specially. We wish you have a great holiday with folks and, you know, drink some eggnog and spend some time with family. But also remember, I think, you know, the real reason for the season. I hope that you'll stop and think about that as well. I think we're going through a renaissance in this country and a revival. I just read a story. I'm going to try to read it a little bit later. Denzel Washington just got baptized and became a minister.
I saw that.
Really?
Yeah. And Bible sales are at an all-time high.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting? I think so, too.
I saw
okay.
Trump selling some Bibles the other day.
Yeah, well, you can just, there you go. So we got a lot of email, and people have been talking to us for some time, and I get stuff in social media and that kind of stuff. And they suggested that we do a few things, and I was really surprised at some of the things they wanted to revisit. You know, I've had a good time here on this program and in the morning show when I was there, picking on our mayors in Nashville, and they're just you know, such good targets. You know, I came in here in 2018, and I'd barely been filling in for a couple of days, and this whole Megan Barry scandal started. And, you know, she was having an affair with her, and I know it's old history, but she was having an affair with her bodyguard, and there was talking about, you know, little time spent in a cemetery each day. And it was just, I mean, it was a world-class scandal, as sex scandal as these things go. And so I decided right off the bat that I needed to find a song that sort of became the Megan Barry theme song, and it was this one. And then, you know, then we had another mayor that came on after her, and this guy was, I mean, he was about as milquetoast a mayor as ever came down the pike. This guy, I mean, I think he was probably a decent fellow, but Mr. Charisma, he was not. In fact, you know, it was hard to, you know, if you saw him in a room, you probably wouldn't even talk to him. He was just, I mean, he was just zero personality. So we called him Mayor Cellophane because you could see right through him. Remember that? And he was followed by another guy. Remember this one?
Oh.
That's right, Mayor Munchkin. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to call him that anymore.
Well, you can say it. He's not in office anymore.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I wasn't supposed to say it because it was supposed to be insensitive to call somebody who's short a munchkin.
Oh, I thought it was insensitive to call them, to refer to him as...
No.
You know,
no.
I thought they would be offended because...
That would be fine, but you know, I didn't, I was told that it was offensive to call a little person a munchkin.
They didn't want to be associated with that mayor.
But you know what? He was an angry little elf.
And he needed an eyebrow trim.
Oh.
Just saying.
Oh, God. That's still my favorite movie scene. He's an angry little elf. All right. And then this one, you know, I don't know why somebody requested this one, but they did. You know, for a while, I think I still have some in my briefcase. I've got about 5 left. We came up with these stickers, you know, because I had the bell, which, you know, I would ring. And so I thought that became a thing, and people sort of, you know, seized upon it. So at my own personal expense, because the company would never pay for something like this. Imagine that, promoting a show. Oh my gosh, what a concept! But I went out and I had a bunch of stickers made that simply said "ding," and the idea was people would put them on their cars, and people say, "Well, what's that?" And then the person would say, "Oh, you got to listen to this guy in the morning." You know, I listened to him. His name's Brian Wilson, and this is once you listen to the show, you'll understand about the ding, and so. I did that, and by the way, shortly after I did that, the numbers really started to come up. They did. I swear it worked. I think it worked. And so they asked for the Stickers song. That's right. And so, sticker friends.
Who doesn't love this song?
Yeah.
I mean, talk about an earworm.
I love that. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. By special request, some of the hits from yesteryear. It is time for the news at 5:30. Another round.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Middle Tennessee, at least one person is hurt following a shootout inside a Walmart in Clarksville today. Police said they responded to the store on Fort Campbell Boulevard around 12:45 after multiple calls from 911. One person had driven themselves to the hospital with multiple gunshot wounds, but not life-threatening. Police say there had been some sort of argument before two people started shooting at each other. Everyone involved, police say, is talking to investigators. And you're running out of time for any last-minute Christmas grocery shopping. Here's Channel 4's Dryden Quigley.
Most of the stores that are open today won't be open tomorrow. So if you find yourself needing any extra groceries, you should get them before stores close tonight.
Many of the stores open tonight, running on adjusted hours, so better check before you go. Stores like Publix, Walmart, Target, Kroger, Costco closing earlier than usual, and they'll be closed tomorrow. That brings us to a recall of eggs sold at Costco locations in Tennessee and elsewhere, becoming more urgent.
Last month, Handsome Brook Farms announced a voluntary recall of more than 10,000 units of Kirkland Signature organic pasture-raised 24-count eggs. Now the FDA is classifying that recall at the highest risk level. The Class 1 recall means there's a reasonable probability that the recalled product will cause serious adverse health consequences or death. The eggs were distributed to 25 Costco locations across Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee starting November 22nd with a use-by date of January 5th, 2025. Dave Packer, ABC News.
And right now in our nation's capital, President Biden has signed a bill that officially makes the bald eagle the national bird of the U.S. The bald eagle has appeared on the Great Seal of the United States as a symbol of the power and strength of the United States for more than 240 years, but until today, it was not official. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Wow, it is really smooth sailing on the interstates out there on this Christmas Eve. Oh, if it could be Christmas Eve every day. Now, we'll add that there'll be no added lane closures for road work over the Christmas holiday unless it's emergency. All long-term projects remain in place. Now, speed zones will be enforced in these road work areas, but no added lane closures. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Listen, just ahead, another round of Phone Your Farb finale, so get on the line at 615-737-9986. Come to you in just a moment. Let me tell you a little bit about Grace Point Healthcare, affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine. They got this thing called a basic smart care plan. Here's the idea. You pay them $69 a month, and then you get free office visits and free basic labs and diagnostic tests. At Grace Point, you are usually seen the same or next day, and there are no long waiting times in the waiting room. Grace Point is your primary provider that treats the entire family from newborns to seniors. So Grace Point is a military veteran-owned practice located in the heart of Franklin. Call this number, 615-599-6868, to schedule your next medical appointment. Let me just say personally, thank you very much, Grace Point, for being one of the people who allows me to talk about them as a sponsor each week, and we greatly appreciate it. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Oh, my goodness. Such great music. A lot of people made recommendations, and I have incorporated them into my final send-off of, one of the hallmarks of this program is that we use music throughout the broadcast. And, this is Music City, and I thought early on, I love music, and it's Music City, so we're going to try to incorporate music into the show wherever we can. And I think, Chris, you've done a great job of doing that. And here's the thing. I just happened to glance over at my Facebook feed. There are like 10,000 people just on Facebook watching the show.
Wow.
Yeah, watching the show. So hello. Glad that you're out there. I just want to say, though, there's a problem with the feed on Facebook and on social media where there's a television picture associated with it. We can't play the music.
Yes.
So somebody just said, "Hey, I'm hearing you talk, but I'm not hearing the things you're talking about because we're playing a lot of music, right?" Mm-hmm. And so I have to explain. If you watch on the feed, you can't hear the music. And the end of this program in the next hour is a lot of music. So you can listen on the app. Am I correct, Chris? You can listen on the app and you can hear music.
Correct.
And so if you listen on the app, you'll still get the full experience. Here's a novel idea. Try to find an FM radio. This is a radio station. So if you listen on the radio, you get the full stereo. I mean, stereo, sometimes I'll be on the left side. And sometimes I'll be over here on the right side.
Stop it.
And most of the time I'm right there in the middle.
Well, and then you don't have to see us.
That's right. And you don't have to look at us.
That's
but
a
you
bonus,
can, and there's the extra added bonus to that. Time for our last round of Phone Your Farb finale. That's right, 615-737-9986. Why don't you get on the line and call us? I've been really enjoying the conversation today. Got a lot of open lines. Love to hear from some first-time callers. If you've never called in before, this is a great time to do it. 615-737. Maybe you got a burr under your saddle. Maybe you have a bee in your bonnet. Or maybe you have an uncomfortable bug in a place where we hope you really never, ever have a bug. That's right, 615-737-9986. Step up on our 100,000-watt soapbox and express yourself within boundaries because it is, after all, a family show. Start with David in Murfreesboro. David, good evening. You're on with Brian on the Drive.
Hey, Brian. I just wanted to say farewell, and I've been listening to you since you came to WTN, and it's good to hear. I'm a fellow Texan. I was born a little bit east of Abilene, Texas, Albany. And it's just good to hear somebody. You still have a pretty good little accent now and then, and I like the stories you tell and all the little colloquialisms. They kind of bring me back close to home.
You know, the accent, I always thought, because I worked on it hard when I first got into radio. Texans do weird things. They like anything that has an IE diphthong in it. It's I like my tie, and instead of saying I like my tie. And so I worked on voice and diction for a long time, and I thought I had done pretty well. And then, so when I started doing radio in Washington, D.C. after my career at Fox, I said this one day to my running mate, my co-host at the Larry O'Connor. I said, well, I had to work hard to overcome my accent. He said, son, you haven't overcome your accent. He says it's still there. So to his ear, he could still hear it. But that's one of the great things about being in Tennessee. Nobody minds that I have a little bit of an accent, so thank you for that. Betty in Hendersonville, you're on with Brian on the Drive. What's up with you, Betty? Long-time listener to this program.
No, we're going to miss you. We are really, really going to miss you. But we wish you and pray for you and Sure Shot Dawn.
Sure Shot, that's right. Dead-Eye Dawn.
Many, many, many wonderful new adventures, and we appreciate all the joy that you have brought and your unique way of bringing the news and making it so interesting. And I wish we could have done the Farb farewell, but you know what? Maybe we'll figure out a way to rent some scooters over there in Watertown and have
Betty,
like a scooter gathering.
You know what? You raised something that I've been meaning to talk about. My last day being, just before Christmas, it was sort of hard. Christmas is a hard time. First of all, trying to find a place to do it. Everybody's booked, and everything's full up, and then people are busy during the holidays. But in talking to the managers at the station, they said that, technically, I'm still under contract, and I'll be around for a lot more longer going forward. So they said, why don't we do it after the first of the year? So there is some talk about doing that after the first of the year to get together and have a Farb farewell, even though it's going to be a little after my last show. And I said, I'm all on board for that. So it's still in the planning stages, still sort of in its infancy in the concept. But I think that is something we're going to do after the first of the year. And I hope I'll get you to see you there, Betty. Thanks a lot. Clint in Clarksville. Wow, that has alliteration all over. Clint in Clarksville. How you doing there, Clint? What's on your mind?
How you doing? Wonderful, Brian. It's good to talk with you. First-time caller.
Well, thank you.
I have a Christmas song to recommend for you and the Cabana Wife that you guys will absolutely love.
Okay, what is it?
Dancing with You by We Imperfect Few.
It's the name of the group is what?
We Imperfect Few.
We Imperfect Few.
That's
all right.
It. It's got some guitar solos on it that you will just eat up, and it's got a real catchy tune to it that's just meant for you and your missus on Christmas.
All right. Well, we will download that, and we will listen to it together. Thank you, Clint. We appreciate it. Caleb in Murfreesboro. Hello, Caleb. You're up next on The Drive.
Brian, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. What's up, man?
I just wanted to say, first off, thank you for so much listening to you on the radio. I've been listening to you since you got onto the radio. Hold on, I'm trying not to get emotional here. But I've listened to you all through college. I've been listening to you ever since you went to your afternoon show after Phil. The last time I talked to you was literally the Monday after he had passed. And
wow.
I just want to say thank you for all you've done. I love your stories. My favorites are always the stories of you working at Fox. It's just been a pleasure just to hear you every day after work and the drive on my way home. So I just wish nothing but the best, and hopefully you get to have a Merry Christmas. And hold on, I'm trying to keep myself together here. But I just want to say thank you. So, anyways, listen, I just want to get off the yes, sir.
I just want to say thank you for listening. We love having younger listeners who jump in and sort of, get into what we're doing. It is a thing that I'm hearing more and more about as young people, for a while, young people didn't care anything about what was going on in the world around them. But now I'm finding that young people are more engaged, and I appreciate you listening, and I appreciate the kind words, Caleb. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I appreciate you. There's a lot of appreciation there going on. Alan, I don't know where Alan's calling from. Hello, Alan. You're on with Brian at The Drive.
Hey, Brian. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead.
Hello, Brian. Hey, I'll tell you what, sir. I've listened to WWTN since about 2000, 2001. And you came into the thing, and I want to tell you, although I don't agree with everything you said, I do agree with a lot that you have said and how you have presented it, and I want to thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. That's very nice. High praise. Thanks a lot. Scott in Mount Juliet, you're up next on The Drive. What do you say, Scott?
Well, good evening, Mr. Wilson. This is Scott and January. January, formerly of Mount Juliet. I'm sure you know who she is.
Yeah. Hi, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Just wanted to say I have enjoyed and appreciated listening to you for the last almost 7 years. I listen to you in the mornings on my way into work, and then when you transition to the afternoons, I listen to you on my way home from work. And you were a voice of reason in a chaotic world, and just wanted to say we appreciated listening to you very, very much.
Well, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it, and send my best to January. All right?
Also, very sorry we missed the Christmas party. NES called, and storm work takes precedent, I guess.
I understand. Thank you a lot. Richard in Petersburg, you're up next on The Drive. What do you say, Richard?
Hey, Ryan, I met you when we rode on the press corps charters with the Air Force One, making many trips. That's when I first met you.
Well, so you were, hold it, what did you do on Air Force One? Remind me again.
I was in charge of the charters.
That's right. And we met when I was working for Fox?
Yep. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
I retired in the year 2000, so I know what you're looking forward to, and it's fantastic. But you've done a great job. I live here and listen to your program every evening. I really enjoyed the upgrade of what you do after traveling with the press corps. It really taught me a lot of lessons about what is truth and what's non-truth.
Well, that's very sweet of you to say, Richard. And I got to tell you, it's one of the finest rides I've ever been on. Was the pleasure of on many occasions getting to fly on Air Force One. Most of the time, I was following around, Bubba, Bill Clinton. I think I did a little bit of flying during the Clinton years, but I mean a lot with Clinton, and maybe a little bit more with Bush. So it was a great ride, and always. I tell you what, if they talk about first-class travel, Air Force One, my friend, that's all I got to say. That's first-class travel for sure. Very quickly, one more call. Eric in Clarksville, you're up. You're going to finish us up here on Phone Your Farb finale. What's on your mind, Eric?
It's hard to believe it's the finale, Brian. It really, really is. I remember you from when I was stationed in Northern Virginia during your Fox days, from the mid-'90s to the late '90s.
You probably watched me do that morning show over on Fox 5 for a lot of years, I bet.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was a real great blessing for you to have to come down here and finish out your time.
Yep.
And I just want you to know how much myself and so many of my friends who listen to you on the drive really have appreciated what you've done and what you brought to this area. My only worry now is what's going to happen to the drive.
Well, the
Is it
drive
gonna fade
retires.
away, or is somebody going to take over?
No, we're gonna park it in the garage, and we're gonna be done. And Matt Murphy takes over this time slot starting right after Christmas. But he's going to launch his show in a big way after the first of the year.
Well, at least it's not Mandis, so.
No, you could do a lot worse than Dan Mandis. No, it's a cheap. I know.
To throw some shade at Mandis.
It was a cheap shot, and I've taken many in my day. I promise you. All right. Well, listen. Thank you all. I really do greatly appreciate the sentiments. I'll have more to say in just a moment. Right now, 51 minutes past the hour.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Bullets fly in a Middle Tennessee Walmart. Details coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Of course, my snaps are out of sync, aren't they?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I have rhythm. People, when we went to doing these shows from home during COVID, and can I'm going to tell a story out of school? I suppose I'm going to tell one.
All right.
Have at it.
So they said they called us all and they said, starting tomorrow, you need to figure out some way to do this from home.
Yeah, it really was just like that.
It was just like that because they were really freaked out about COVID and all that kind of stuff. And so, the good news is that for some reason, I had it written into my contract. This is not generally known, but in the early days, I had it in my contract that on occasion I could do my show from my beach house in Florida, which I no longer own, but I did at the time. And so I had the technology to do that, which is sort of an expensive little box. The boxes cost about $2,500, and I had one because I wanted to be able to go to the beach, right? So I bought that box and had all the gear. And for some reason, I don't know why, the last time I had been down in Florida, I just brought that gear back with me. And then they said you need to have a studio set up. So I said, well, I'll put something together pretty quick, and I put it together pretty quick and got it up and running. And then I added to my studio, and everything was really great. And I got my little button box over here where I can do things like that, and do this thing like here, and this one, it's right there at my fingertips, and I didn't have that in the studio, and so. Amazingly, even though we were on remote, the numbers went up and up and up and up and up. And then it comes time, as you have here in radio, you do a little thing called renegotiate your contract. Mm-hmm. And everything was going great and everything was fine. But they said to me, we want you to come back to the station. I said, no, I don't think so. They said, no, you need to come back to the station. And I said, no, I don't think so. And they said, well, we just think it's a better show if you're in the studio, with your compadres, your compatriots, your team. And I said, well, the show is number one. How much better do you want it to be? And I got to stay at home.
There you go.
And I appreciate the company being willing to work with me on that. I really love my little studio. And again, even though I'm leaving after today, I won't be doing the full-time broadcast, I'll still be around. And the studio will still get more than a little bit of use. And I'll try to sneak in one of these every once in a while. It is time for the news at 6 o'clock on Super Talk. We're getting ready for the last hour. Stick around, everybody. We got some good stuff planned.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And right now in Middle Tennessee, we've learned of a shootout inside a Walmart in Clarksville. Police say they responded, that is, to the Walmart on Fort Campbell Boulevard around 12:45 after several people were calling in to 911. One person had driven to the hospital with what police say were multiple gunshot wounds, but nothing life-threatening. Police say it was not an active shooter, rather an isolated incident. It happened after an argument, and then two people arguing started shooting at each other. Police say everyone involved is talking to police. Better check before you go to the store for any last-minute Christmas groceries. Shopper Elijah Madison telling Channel 4.
We're doing a ham. I actually just now bought the ham. I told my family I'd buy it, and I forgot. So until just now, so I had to run out and get it. Yeah.
Were you panicked? Did you think about what stores were open?
I did panic, and I was like, I don't think Publix would have it all. But, they had two left, so I snagged one of the last ones here.
Now, many of the stores open tonight, running on adjusted hours, so you should check before you go. Stores like Publix, Walmart, Target, Kroger, and Costco going to close earlier than usual. They'll be closed tomorrow. A recall of eggs sold at Costco locations in Tennessee and elsewhere becoming more urgent.
Last month, Handsome Brook Farms announced a voluntary recall of more than 10,000 units of Kirkland Signature Organic Pasture-Raised 24-count eggs. Now the FDA is classifying that recall at the highest risk level. The Class 1 recall means there's a reasonable probability that the recalled product will cause serious adverse health consequences or death. The eggs were distributed to 25 Costco locations across Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee starting November 22nd with a use-by date of January 5th, 2025. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Prosecutors in New Mexico have withdrawn their appeal to revive the criminal charges against actor Alec Baldwin for the shooting on the set of Rust. An attorney, Gloria Allred, who represents the family of cinematographer Helena Hutchins, who was killed, says they're not happy.
He has never contacted our family to apologize or accept any responsibility whatsoever for her death.
Baldwin had been facing manslaughter charges for the death of Hutchins during the case, but that case dismissed back in July. The family says they're going to move forward with a civil case against Baldwin. Speaking of civil money news for 2025, Fox 17 says a survey released by the company PayScale shows U.S. employers are budgeting for 3.5% raises next year, lower than the past 2 years. The positive news, though, is that most employees, according to this survey, 85%, are expected to get a pay bump. And with the backdrop of war in Gaza, midnight mass at the Church of the Nativity in Israeli-occupied West Bank city of Bethlehem this Christmas Day. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Oh, if every day could be Christmas Eve or Christmas. Traffic, I'm telling you, it is smooth sailing on the interstates right now. I'm not seeing an issue at all. There is one thing, unless there is an emergency, there will be no added lane closures, according to TDOT, over the Christmas holiday. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's right. You got to know when to hold them and when to fold them and when to walk away. And there's been a few times where I've had to run. So, it's all part of a career in broadcasting. You got to know when to run. The Gambler, Kenny Rogers. Wow. So, a lot of the music here today has all been, if you've been listening very carefully, been, farewell music. Like, we had that legendary group Steam, known for their many, well, no, they're just really known for one thing, aren't they?
That was it.
Nah.
Yeah, and they're really not even known for that. You know that song, but you don't know they did it.
Yeah, you don't, if I said who did that song, about nine people out of 10 wouldn't be able to tell you.
Nope.
Yeah, but there have been some great songs, like another one, Bites the Dust by Queen, and great stuff there. Great stuff. Chris, you've done a great job over the years. Can I just say?
No, don't do this again.
I'm going to do it again because really, truly, you guys have no idea how good Chris is. He's so good. I'll be in the middle of a commercial break, and we're a minute away from air. And I'll be sitting here, and the little light bulb, bing, will go off on top of my head. I go, oh, you know what we need? We need this piece of music, or we need that little piece of sound, or if whatever it is. And I look up and I look at the clock. There's probably no way he's going to get it in time for us to start the program. And I've never been let down once. I don't know how you're so quick and so good at this, but you always come through for me, and it's always good stuff. And I've been immensely blessed. To have you as my producer. Very early on in broadcasting, when I got into TV, for example, and I'd go out and I would work with a cameraman, I would know within about a minute whether that cameraman had the chops or not.
Mm-hmm.
And in radio, you work with someone and you say, pretty soon you figure out, does this person have the chops? Can this person, stick with me in what I want to do? I never had a doubt about you from day one.
Oh,
because on day one, you and I it's just been amazing. We've been in sync. I can sort of say, do the other, and give you about 10 seconds worth of direction, and you know exactly where I'm going. You know exactly what I'm going to do. It's almost like that radar love thing, got the wave in the air, that's what it is. It really is. We connect on a different plane, and it's been that way literally from the first moment I got on the air. And I got to tell you, an incredibly rare thing. And again, I've been blessed. Radio is, radio is a theater of the mind. And you understand the medium, I think, perhaps better than most people do. And never worked with anybody any more professional than you. I've never worked with anybody who got me better than you. And I'm a hard person to get sometimes, and I appreciate you. I really do. You've just been the best partner on this broadcast. And Ken Weaver, I know he's in the car now on the way home. Yeah, he leaves at 6 o'clock. And don't tell anybody. He tapes the last newscast. It's a big secret. I shouldn't have said that. I've said too much. But, I know he's in the car right now, and he's listening. And Ken Weaver, again, just what a pro. What an absolute pro.
Yeah.
And he's consistent, and his writing is crisp, and it's sharp, and it gets right to the point. Brevity is a difficult thing. Something I was having a conversation with our preacher about last Sunday. Brevity is it's a difficult thing. No, I'm teasing him. He knows. It is harder to write short than it is to write long. There is a famous writer, I wish I could remember who it was, who once wrote a letter and said, I'm sorry I'm writing such a long letter. I didn't have the time to write a short one. Wow. And it's because it really is true. Writing succinctly and tersely and crisply is a gift. And Ken Weaver has that gift in spades. Mm-hmm. I've never met anybody who can take a complicated idea and condense it down to one sentence like Ken Weaver. I used to think I was pretty good at it, but I only had to do it usually when I was in television, one story a day. I had all day to figure out how to make it short and succinct and to the point. Ken Weaver does that, every hour and every half hour.
Mm-hmm.
And just a total pro. So If I'm being a little too effusive, I know you'll forgive me, but it really is true. I've been blessed to work with two of the best broadcasters in all of broadcasting, I think.
That's very kind of you. And let me just say, I'm not a man of many words, but I do want to say, when you came in and you were kind of filling in for the first few days or few weeks, whatever it was, you never know who you're going to get when a host comes in. And normally hosts do have a bit of an ego at times. And so you always kind of, at least I do, I have the worst sort of, I think the worst to begin with, just so I'm not.
What's this got to be like? Yeah.
And it didn't take long for me to realize that, no, this is not going to be that type of host. I mean, you're right. I mean, we do kind of get one another. I do see where you're going a lot of times, and it makes the relationship a lot easier that way. And so, yeah, I've enjoyed the 6+ years that we've worked together immensely. I really have. And not only that, and probably more so than that, I've enjoyed the friendship that we've had on top of the working relationship. And you've been so good to me and my family. And so I really appreciate it.
Well, I love your wife and I love your son. And I tell you what, I know that we won't talk each day. But, that guys are different, I think. You have a friend, and I don't consider you a coworker. I really consider you a friend.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I consider it a good friendship. The thing with guys is we don't have to talk each day.
Right.
Right. I might not talk to you for a month or two, but I know that when I see you or when I talk to you, it's like not a moment will have passed.
Yeah.
I have several friends like that across the years that I just got visited by a couple of them, two friends that I grew up with in high school and that I roomed with out of high school as I was trying to learn broadcasting. And, it's like they walk in the door and it's like not a moment has passed.
Mm-hmm.
And we have that kind of relationship. And I know that we will stay in touch going forward.
Absolutely.
With whatever happens, I know that you'll be there and say nice words at my funeral. Would you? Okay? Because you're probably going to outlive me. That's horrible, isn't it? You may have noticed if you're watching on TV, and by the way, let me just see what the latest number is. 13,500 people are watching right now on Facebook.
Wow.
Every time I click on it, it goes down. And I just want to mention that we're going to do some things at the end of the show that if you're listening on Facebook, you quite frankly, watching the television feeds, you won't hear it.
Yep.
Because we can't play music.
That's right.
On the Facebook feed. So I just want you to know that if you want to catch the full tail end of this program, which is going to be, I think, a lot of fun. I think you're gonna enjoy it. You might want to move to the app or to a real radio.
Yep.
What a concept that would be. Or you can listen back to the feed. It won't be on the feed then either, will it? Won't.
Unfortunately, no.
No, it won't. No, that's right. But anyway, one way or the other, you can hear it if you were listening on the app or if you're listening on the radio. But if you're watching it on Super Talk TV, you will not hear the last 7 minutes of the show.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about 7 minutes, 37 seconds, if I recall.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I got a little emotional and I got carried away, and I don't want to turn away from some of the news of the day. I think this is sort of an interesting story, and I'm really wondering if something is going to take on this. The question is about Joe Biden. Now, all during his presidency and all during his early days of the campaign when he was the candidate for re-election, we kept being told, Joe's still got it. He's sharp as a tack. We can't even keep up with him. He runs circles around us. All of this, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? It was an absolute bald-faced lie. Now, we knew it was a lie because if you watched him, he was like a little lost puppy most of the time. He walked out into an event and couldn't figure out how to get off the stage without somebody grabbing him by the arm. And then we saw the debate where he just got clobbered. And you know what? Trump played that moment so well. He didn't insult him. He simply pointed out in sort of a forceful way. Yeah, he didn't know what he said. I don't know what he said, and he doesn't know what he said. And he could have really blown that moment, but he knew to walk tenderly there because he was going to reveal himself as not being up to the job. And of course, that turned out to be the case. In recent days, there have been these stories that have come out about Biden. And, you were finally getting, the Wall Street Journal did some great reporting, talked to 50 people who had been around him And what they found is that they were willing to acknowledge that, privately, that he was missing a step, but they wouldn't say it publicly. And quite frankly, I still worry between now and January 20th about this guy with so much going on in the world. Is he up to the task? I kind of pray that he is up to the task, because I worry about what happens if we have a very bad day and he's the president. But now the question comes, should there be hearings to talk about his competency? Listen to this story from frontpagemag.com. At some yet-to-be-determined point in the last 4 years, the President of the United States became mentally incompetent. Rather than admit it and allow his vice president to step in, a cover-up began in which the White House staffers and advisors began carrying out actions in his name. The charade continued until a disastrous debate performance led the party to dump Biden on the grounds of mental competency, even while leaving him in charge of the country. Despite an electoral trashing, the figures behind the administration have continued operating in his name, and in their final weeks in power have engaged in a dramatic effort to stymie the incoming administration, to set new precedents, and to transform America. The documents bear Biden's name, but we have multiple points of testimony from associates that he is not mentally competent. An NSC advisor on camera recently stated that Biden is essentially dead. He can't say a sentence. Over the last 4 years, a coup was launched during which a mentally incompetent man was propped up in office and decisions were made in his name. And those behind it could have left office with him gracefully instead of having chosen to extend their crimes by actively sabotaging the incoming administration and trying to make permanent their various dirty deeds. Congress must begin mental competency hearings on Biden with a view to pursuing court actions to invalidate all actions taken in his name from a time when he was no longer legally competent. Biden administration officials should be subpoenaed. All relevant medical records should be obtained. A legally viable starting date must be established that will then invalidate all actions taken from that point forward. That includes today's commutation of sentences for mass murderers. This was written a couple of days ago. Mental competency hearings are vital for restoring the public's trust in the government and for holding the perpetrators of the senility coup accountable. It's an interesting thought. Do you go after some of the decisions that have been made in his name that clearly he was not competent enough to make those decisions? He was incompetent, many people believe. Or do you just at this point let it go? Apparently they were looking at this classified documents case, and they brought him into a room and they began asking him questions about these documents that were parked in the garage next to his Corvette, and he couldn't remember anything. And it was very clear to the special prosecutor in that particular case that his mind was gone, that he couldn't remember even simple things about his family. And so the question becomes, in that case, they simply decided, we're not going to bring a case. Because if you were to take the case to court, he would present to the jury as a feeble old man with a bad memory. The special counsel knew this way back when. And we've all known it in our hearts for some time now. The real question is, should we pursue this matter or just let it go? I sort of believe we need to have a conversation about what do you do and what are the responsibilities of the vice president, the cabinet, and Congress when it becomes clear that a president has lost his ability to make reasoned decisions. It's 21 past the hour now. Well, listen, if you are thinking about buying a gun safe, and let me just say, what dad doesn't want a gun safe, right? Well, now is the time to do it. Gun safes are sales tax free. That's right, sales tax free. It's hunting season, so be sure you're keeping your gun safe when you're not in the tree stand with a Liberty gun safe from D.T. McCall. D.T. McCall's is the largest Liberty safe dealer in Tennessee. Why? Well, free delivery and setup, Others charge $500 at least for delivery and setup of the big models, and $300 for the smaller models. DT McCall & Sons delivers every safe, free, every time period, never a setup charge. Security is important these days, and a Liberty gun safe from DT McCall can be used for valuables, cash, jewelry, important documents, wills, deeds, car titles, whatever you need to keep safe from theft or fire. So save some big bucks now on your Liberty gun safe when you shop at your local DT McCall's. Just go to dtmccalls.com for locations and information.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Oh, this is an instrumental version.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have enough saxophone, right?
I suppose not.
I don't know. Well, you're listening to the final edition of The Drive. We're having a great time. I mean, I am shocked. I think we're shattering Facebook TV Live numbers today.
I think so.
I don't think we've ever had those kind of numbers. So it means that a lot of people are listening in. And the last few minutes of the show are going to be all music. So if you are listening on Super Talk TV, I'm sorry, we can't play music on the TV, but we play it everywhere else. So, you'll have to find listening on the app or listen to a radio if you want to have the full effect of our goodbye. But let me tell you, it means a lot. And we did 3 rounds of Phone Your Farb finale today. And, it's great hearing from people. People have been so nice. I am immensely blessed. And again, over the last few days, people have said some of the sweetest things to me. And, I sometimes wonder, when words leave this microphone and hit the airwaves in the form of frequency modulation across the atmosphere, whether or not that they have any impact, whether or not people, are listening and whether it means anything to them. And it has been so impressive to have people, time after time after time, tell me what the show and what the broadcast has meant to them. And so, thank you for those words. Believe me, I have read everything that anybody has said on social media. I can't get to everybody because literally that's all I'd be doing all day long. And I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you listening to me here at Super Talk. Again, you may notice in the background, if you're watching on Super Talk TV, wave, honey. Cabana wife is listening with a pair of headphones in the back. She wanted to hear the last part of the show. And my the best known French bulldog in all of Middle Tennessee, Grogu, is here with us.
She is not listening.
She's not listening. She won't listen at all. She's just running around like a crazy dog, like she does sometimes. I mean, when she comes up with me every day, what does she do, Chris?
Usually she's curled up on the couch.
She goes back on the couch, and I say, go lay down, and she goes lay down. And you know what? It's funny because she knows when the show's over.
Mm-hmm.
I take my headphones off maybe 15 times during the show, but when I take them off for the last time, she's ready to go. She knows when the show is over.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny. Usually you and I have a word at the end. We talk about a little bit of what we're going to do the next day, and then, we unlog all the equipment and we go home. But she knows somehow that that's it. Mm-hmm. It's the funniest thing.
Yeah.
I'm immensely blessed for all the lovely things that you've said. I've got just about a minute and a half here before we go to the news. And I just want you to know that I think there's something going on in America. I think the election was a part of it, where the country, which swings to the left sometime and swings to the right sometimes, really swung pretty hard to the right this time. And we're going to start on January 20th with a Republican president, a Republican Senate, a Republican House, a very conservative government. We got a 6-3 conservative majority on the Supreme Court, and 26 out of the 50 governors are Republicans. I mean, if we don't get it right, then there can be a lot of people who will never vote Republican again in their lives. There's a lot on the line here, but I think that's a sign overall that we're moving in a more conservative direction and away from some of the crazy stuff that was going on. And I read a story the other day that Bible sales are at an all-time high in America. And I'm thinking, why is that? Well, I think there's a revival going on in America in many ways, a religious revival. People are looking for, things that make sense out of all the crazy. And then there's this story. Denzel Washington, who I think is a great actor, one of Hollywood's most celebrated actors, has embraced a new chapter in his life, stepping into the ministry. The 69-year-old star of Gladiator 2, of all the movies that they choose, that's the one they mentioned.
The last one, yeah.
Received his minister's license during a baptism ceremony at the historic Kelly Temple Church of God in Christ in New York City. It took a while, but I'm finally here, he said. If he can do this for me, there's nothing he can't do for you. The sky literally is the limit. Denzel Washington's connection to Kelly Temple runs deep. He attended the church as a child, later testified about being filled with the Holy Spirit after visiting another congregation with fellow actor Robert Townsend in the 80s. But now he's an ordained minister, and he's got a tough job ahead of him trying to find work now in Hollywood. We got about a half hour to go. Time for the news. Hey, listen, Eurofix has a very different business philosophy. They staff all of the locations with more staff than the average auto repair shop, just so they can be ready when your emergency pops up out of nowhere. Have you ever noticed how hard it can be to get a right now appointment for vehicle repair? Some dealers can be more than 2 weeks just to get in the door. Not at Eurofix. They've been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without dealer pricing since 1999. Plus, a 3-year nationwide warranty and the staff to fix your car now. If you're tired of waiting forever to get into your car into the shop, well, why don't you call Eurofix? Owner Aaron Stokes says, we will never be too busy for our customers. We are here to take their pain away. And let me just say, Aaron, thank you so much for being a part of what I've been doing here at Super Talk almost since day one. Greatly appreciated. Family owned for 24 years. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Yep, this is it. We're down to the last 22 minutes of the show before we put the drive in the parking lot and throw away the keys. So, by the way, what I was at the station the other day. There's a little buggy back there.
Yeah, like I don't know. I've seen that. It's been there for probably almost a year, I think.
How come we don't have a little buggy at Super Talk 99.7 WTN?
I thought about, taking the cover off of it and
taking a look
it for
at
a spin. But
well, that's whose mystery buggy is that? It's very
probably
cool.
Those no good sports station people.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably a golf cart, isn't it?
Maybe. I don't know.
I bet that's what it is. Well, we'll see. Well, listen, we're down to the last few minutes here of the show, and again, we got a lot of. I put on social media that I needed advice as to what song I should sign off with, and the recommendations were just remarkable. And I thought of a few that the listeners did not think of, And we've put it into a big grand finale. So that'll be coming up in a few minutes. And again, I want to mention, although we're shattering Facebook Live numbers this afternoon, I mean, just totally destroying any record we ever had. And I appreciate that. You will not be able to hear the music unless you're listening on the app or on the radio. So there's that. Rand Paul of Kentucky has released a report detailing $1 trillion in government waste. $1 trillion. Now, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy say they want to take about $2 million out of the budget. And a lot of people say that's silly. It can't be done. That's crazy talk. But here's a quick trillion. Here it is from the Daily Caller. Republican Kentucky Senator Rand Paul released a report on Monday outlining more than $1 trillion in government waste from the past year. He calls it the 2024 Festivus Report. I guess it's an airing of his grievances, I suppose. Report highlighted various instances of wasteful government spending from the federal government, including, well, I'm going to get through this. Let's see. A $12 million Las Vegas pickleball complex. How can you possibly spend $12 million to do a pickleball court? I mean, I know guys that lay cement, they could do it for, a few thousand. $4.8 million on Ukrainian influencers. What is that all about? $720,000 on a wetland conservation project for ducks in Mexico. Well, the Mexican ducks, you got to take care of them, I suppose. What about the poor American ducks who don't have that? No, we're spending $500,000 on ducks in Mexico. The National Endowment for the Arts awarded the Bearded Ladies Cabaret a $10,000 grant to support a cabaret show on ice skates. The NEA, the National Endowment for the Arts, that's got to go. I mean, that's number one, right? You got to cut that. The NEA also spent $365,000 to promote circuses in city parks. The State Department spent $500,000 to expand the U.S. Embassy in Ethiopia's U.S. Invests in Ethiopian social media campaign for those all-important Ethiopian products. They make sure they get to market. State Department also spent $253,000 to Bosnia to fight misinformation. I don't care if Bosnia has a little misinformation. It doesn't matter to me one whit. $2.1 million for Paraguayan border security. We can't build fences on the border, but we can spend $2.1 million on border security for Paraguay? Most Americans don't even know where Paraguay is. $3 million for girl-centered climate action in Brazil. The Department of Health and Human Services spent $419,000 and change. This one's unbelievable. To determine if lonely rats seek cocaine more than happy rats. I think I probably know the answer to that. I think you could have given me $100 and I could have told you the answer. We're going to save a lot of money. So, this is what President-elect Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to be doing with Doge. And Rand Paul is all on board. He says, look, as always, taking the path to fiscal responsibility is something I've been all about. I've been fighting government waste like Doge before Doge was cool. And he's right. I will fight against government waste this holiday season. Many Americans have faced steep costs amid high inflation throughout Joe Biden's term, with inflation hitting 9.1% at one time. While inflation rates have eased since June of 22, prices remain high. And the Consumer Price Index, a measure of everyday goods, experiencing a year-over-year increase of 2.7% in November. It's not sticky inflation is still with us. Some experts have attributed massive government spending under the Biden-Harris administration to fueling inflation rates. I don't think it's going to be hard at all, quite frankly, for Vivek and Elon to find $2 trillion in waste. Number one, I'd start at the National Endowment for the Arts. I would not give another penny to public television or public radio. And let's just stop right now foreign aid, period. We send millions and millions of dollars around the world to people who treat us like trash. Let's be done with that. I mean, maybe a little to Israel for national security because that's important to us. But beyond that, stop it. Just tell everybody there will be no more money coming. They don't appreciate us anyway. So let's be done with that. I'm looking forward so much. And we've already seen it with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and Donald Trump and J.D. Vance jumping in on the whole thing about the inflated budget. We've already seen them, do their thing and the importance that social media can do to bring pressure on the thing. I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to watching that one. That's going to be a ton of fun. 45 minutes past the hour. When we come back, our grand finale. Restoration Wellness is a leader in advanced therapy treatments for arthrosis and chronic pain in Middle Tennessee. Chronic pain affects 20% of all adults in the U.S., and chronic pain increases with age, affecting nearly 50% of adults over the age of 65. Don't let chronic pain control your life, because the folks at Restoration Wellness have the newest technology in joint injections, a minimally invasive treatment to relieve pain without needing surgery. Restoration Wellness joint injection treatments can help relieve anything from shoulder pain, hip pain, knee pain, even everything in between. And they put together personalized treatment plans specific to your needs. So call the Restoration Wellness team today at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consult today. My friends Carly and Jamie will take good care of you. Say goodbye to your chronic pain and get a new lease on life.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Well, have yourself a great Christmas. Spend it with family and friends and enjoy your time together. Try to take a few moments to remember what Christmas is really all about. I've got just about a minute here to go before I have to toss to the grand finale. Listen, thank you, Dan Mandis, for hiring me, bringing me here to Nashville. If it hadn't been for that, I wouldn't have met this wonderful woman here behind me, and my life would not be what it is today. Thanks to the management here at Super Talk 99.7 and Cumulus. You've been very good to me. A special thank you to Ken Weaver. I've already said my piece about Ken Weaver. And Chris Weber, thank you so much for everything that you've done. I will be around, but starting the first of the year, you'll have a new experience, and good luck to Matt Murphy as he slides into this position. I think he's going to do an absolutely great job, and you're going to love him. It's been a great ride, everyone. I asked people to suggest music that I should play, and I cannot find the words to say goodbye, so I'll just let the music say it for me. Here's just a little bit of the sample of what you suggested.